Mic check. Hot mic. Welcome everybody, I'm MC Toon and it's Tuesday night. Tonight I have a slightly different one. This is not a flat earth topic, though my guest may have inclinations that way. That's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight we are talking about the Mandela effect, and I think you might have gotten that from the title. And my guest name is Brian Staveley. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me on, dude.
Glad to have you. Hey, we've talked for quite a while, and I'm glad to get you here eventually. So,
yeah, we had talked about it several months ago, and it just never happened. And then we crossed paths in an interesting way. I did a little short video on you, which we can talk about when we get into the show. Yeah. And how could I refuse an invitation on the show? I mean, if I'm going to get your attention with something, I should come on and talk about it if you want to.
Yeah. Now, Snackable Tomato says, you mean the Morgan Freeman effect? All right, well, maybe you want to explain that joke after you explain the Mandela effect.
Yeah, so I'm not even sure what the Morgan Freeman joke is.
I would suspect that Morgan Freeman played Mandela in a movie.
Oh, okay.
Do you see
okay,
how
so
that makes sense?
Yeah. All right, so I'll give you my explanation of what a Mandela effect is, in my opinion, right away, so that people have an idea. Give you some basics of what it is, okay? Because I think very often it's not properly represented. What a Mandela effect is when something in this reality changes. It changes its state all the way back to its origin point, okay? So, for instance, if a line in a movie changed or a title of a book, if you were to go and dig up a 30-year-old copy that you have in your house, that copy would reflect the change. What a Mandela effect isn't is a company changing names, a logo changing names, a brand change. Let's be clear about one thing. Like, I totally understand. I'm not a fool. Like, I understand companies and logos and brands change names all the time. And I understand why people would think, oh, that's just a logo change. Things like this are very easy to look up. So if somebody claims something is a Mandela effect, you could easily go see, hey, when did that company change their logo? And if that indeed happened, that's a historical record that you can easily bring back. I'm talking about things that change and have no official record of the change. Yet, for me to consider something a Mandela effect, I do have a criteria. So I know a lot of people think it's really loosey-goosey. And that starts out with me, actually, if I were to poll people, like on some of them tonight, I'll ask people some questions in the chat. The majority of people have to have the exact same memory as what I think is a Mandela effect. And I have to find a lot of what we call residual evidence, which you don't really ever hear about when you read about the Mandela effect in articles online and whatnot. You'll hear about some product changes and, the Monopoly Man, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and stuff like that. They never really get into the bigger things. And what they never get into is the idea, the fact that there is all sorts of physical evidence that points towards what used to be in this reality. I'll give you one example to start the show, and then I'll take a breath for a minute. So one great example of the Mandela effect is the famous quote from Snow White. Are you familiar with the movie Snow White?
Yes. I've heard.
All right, so I'm gonna ask the chat first, and I know they're on a delay, but we'll pause for a second, let them answer, and then I'll ask you. If I were to ask you, just real quick, it's just a simple question, guys. What was the famous quote the witch said in the mirror in Snow White? Type it in the chat, okay? And do you remember what she said into the mirror?
She said, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?"
Oh, interesting. So you do remember Magic Mirror. Because 99% of the people that I've asked, I think you've already looked at this one.
I've been around. I'll say this, to be honest. My memory is mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, so. I knew that it was, and I think I have heard you say that before. So, and you can see in the chat that there's this mixture. So here's the thing, right?
I was just handed a cat here. This cat's he's got the hoodie going, but he's unpleased. He's always cranky. There you go, an orange tabby being cranky. Who would have thought? All right.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, no, it's cool. So, for instance, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. So many people remember Mirror, Mirror on the Wall from the iconic animated Disney film. And now, if you were to put a copy of that in, it is going to say Magic Mirror. Yet, we have all sorts of merchandise that says Mirror, Mirror. All sorts of plays that were done, videos that were done. But there's stuff more significant than that that people don't really know about. I think some people that have looked at this Mandela effect a little bit recognize that there might be a little bit of supporting evidence like that, if you will. But there's stuff that's more significant. Like, how about this, for example? People will often say, well, if there's a Mandela effect in somebody's movie or whatever, we'd love to hear it come right out of the actor's mouth or the person involved, you know? Like right out of the horse's mouth. And I provide that a lot on my channel. So with the Mirror Mirror one, that was actually Walt Disney's first major, color animated film. And he did a video in the 1950s, and he's on video himself quoting it, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. But it's always been Magic Mirror on the Wall in this reality, in the Disney film. Now here's another piece that's really interesting. So what is a Mandela effect? Well, I said a Mandela effect is when something in this physical reality changes and all the official copies of it change, okay? So all the official Disney animated movie, Snow White, will all say Magic Mirror. Now, that movie's dubbed over in many languages, like Italian, German, French. It's a huge movie, right? Now, when somebody dubs over a movie, they're not doing it off the top of their head. They have a whole movie to dub over. Now, what is a dubbed over movie? Well, it's the original video, but it's obviously not the original audio track. And that movie, in many languages, says Mirror, Mirror in German, in Russian, in Italian.
I have a question here. Somebody mentioned this. I have no idea. Says, Robot Justin says, the book says Mirror, Mirror. The movie says Magic Mirror.
Yes, there is a book that still says Mirror, Mirror, but here's the thing with that, too. So what people will try and do is say, oh, well, you just got it from the book. Well, no, none of us read that book. None of the people I know, we didn't grow up with that book. That book happens to say Mirror, Mirror because the whole lineage of the story stayed Mirror, Mirror. But the Disney movie is all that's changed.
Does the book predate the movie?
Yeah, by a long shot.
Okay.
But so, the book is so old. It's from like 1906. I literally have never seen the book in my life until I was told, hey, well, that's where you get it from. Now, think about this. So Disney, though, in 2012, did a live action movie. I think Julia Roberts was in it, a Snow White movie. They named it Mirror, Mirror. And then this year, they came out with a movie, Disenchanted 2. In that movie, twice, with live action people, she looks in the mirror and says, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Well, yeah, obviously, at some point, if Disney said it himself in the 50s, some point after that, the commonplace was Mirror, Mirror. So I don't think new references mean anything. Wouldn't like the congregation, not the congregation, the confluence where it diverges. Right?
Why would they take the most iconic line out of the movie and butcher it? Like, why would they change it?
It's iconic.
It was always.
It's because the iconic version is Mirror, Mirror, right?
Yeah, because that's what it was in the movie. The Mirror, Mirror wasn't iconic because of the book that nobody read. You know what I mean?
No, So somewhere between the movie and common people thinking it was Mirror, Mirror, somewhere between there is that's the interesting history of it.
Yeah. So here's something to ponder for the people that are sure it was Mirror, Mirror, okay? And I know not everybody is, and that just, for the people that are sure it was Mirror, Mirror, and you grew up with that movie like I did, what I'm claiming right now is no matter how old your copy of Snow White is that's sitting in your house, if you pop it in, it's going to say Magic Mirror. That's what a Mandela effect is. Okay. But it does get a lot deeper than movies and logos and stuff, and of course we'll get there. But I would like to talk about somebody that's from my hometown, if that's cool.
Sure.
Celebrity.
What's your hometown?
Lowell, Massachusetts.
Lowell. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 25 miles north of Boston. So if I were to ask people in the chat about what sweepstakes company do you remember Ed McMahon working for? Okay, and I want everybody to answer in the chat. And I also want you to answer. I want you to think in your head after you answer what company Ed McMahon worked for. I want you to have an image in your head and just think about it. Don't tell anybody what it is. Just think about that image of Ed McMahon. Now, have you heard about this Mandela effect?
I have.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll just let the chat answer since
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
already heard. I'll just explain it, so we just keep it honest, you know. So what this one is?
Who is Ed McMahon? Is
Ed,
somebody's question.
Ed McMahon.
I'm guessing that person won't feel any homage to this Mandela effect.
Yeah, Ed McMahon was Johnny Carson's sidekick on the Tonight Show for about 30 years, and you know, I'll just call it in my reality, for lack of a better, you know, whatever, in my memory, what I always knew to be. Now, Ed McMahon's from my hometown, and I remember the envelopes coming to the house for Publishers Clearinghouse with the outline of the Publishers Clearinghouse logo and his face on it. Now, Ed McMahon has never worked for Publishers Clearinghouse. Now, here's the interesting thing, everybody in the chat. The interesting thing is, well, now the story is he always worked for a rival company, American Family Publishers. Now, right away, a lot of people would be like, well, I could see how I could get those companies mixed up. Well, here's the problem, though. Here's the dilemma, if you will. Did the image you had of Ed McMahon include Ed McMahon going to people's doors with a giant check and balloons? Because he's never done that for either company now. Which is very interesting, because not only do I clearly remember him doing that, if you go, you can find endless parodies, people doing pranks on Halloween. He's even done skits himself, like on the Roseanne Barr show, or whatever the name of the show was, where he comes to the door with a giant check. Okay, now, talking about the horse's mouth again. Ed McMahon, before he passed on, because he's not with us anymore, he was down on his luck financially, I guess, for a little bit. And he did a rap video, as crazy as that sounds. Just 90-year-old man. He did a rap video.
Now, sounds as bad as me doing rap.
Oh, we're going to talk about that, actually, after this.
About me doing rap?
Oh, yeah, we have to have a conversation. So,
okay.
Ed McMahon did a rap video in 2008, and in the rap video, he's rapping about how he needs to go back to people's doors and collect back the giant check that he gave them. And he's in a white van, just like the Prize Patrol van. He goes to the door, rings the doorbell, and asks back for the giant check that he gave him. But he's never given anybody a giant check now. It's never happened. And I remember it clear as day. So what do you, I know you've heard of this Mandela effect before, but what did you think when you heard it? I mean, what did you...
That one wasn't so clear as the Snow White one to me.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing like commercials of going around with checks, but in my memory, I don't have Ed McMahon in those.
Okay.
It's not like the Monopoly guy.
Mirror one.
It's not like Mirror. It's not like Monopoly. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Monopoly one's interesting. I think that's probably how this show came to be, because I saw you on a show. And I'll just tell people the story real quick. I saw you on a show. I believe it was somebody called in or asked a question from the chat, and they had the name like Moneybags or whatever, Uncle Moneybag, Rich Uncle Moneybags. And somebody on your panel said, oh, like the Monopoly guy or something. And then right away, instantly, you said, oh, does he have a monocle? Does he have a cane? Does he have a top hat? Okay. Yeah, and the first thing, nobody, gave you multiple choice of things to look at. Now, you remember the monocle. I remember he had a monocle. I know many, many, many people remember that the Monopoly man had a monocle. Now, what I'm claiming is this is a Mandela effect. So now we're not asking for obscure things. Like, you can say, it's fine if people don't believe in this or whatever, but I'm not like cherry picking things that are so rare that you could never check, okay? Lots of people have Monopoly games in their house. You can check your Monopoly game. He will have no monocle in the Monopoly game. Now, what's interesting, too, is some of the residue that goes for that, like in the movie Ace Ventura 2, you've probably seen this clip by now. He goes up to a guy and says, you must be the Monopoly man, and he starts punching him in the face and all this. And the interesting thing about that guy, not only did he have a monocle, he didn't even have a top hat or a cane. The monocle was the only identifier.
Only had the monocle. What about, did he have like a mustache or something?
He might have had a mustache.
Yeah, so obviously that's somewhere past the point of confluence where people, popular culture started reproducing the monocle. And so I asked my wife this morning. I said, describe to me the Monopoly guy. And she
Yeah.
came up with Monocle.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here working, and she comes in with our Monopoly game, and she's like, look, top hat and cane. I'm like, yeah, but no Monocle.
Isn't that wild? I mean, it is.
So that one for me is much more interesting than Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah, so before, I'm not going to get into theories right now, but just to lay a little bit of groundwork for people, I do want to say that I believe this reality is in flux. We'll talk about what the source of that is after, but it's not a one or all. It's not like I expect somebody to agree with 100% of the changes. I think people have in their own individual experience, but those of us that have recognized this, we resonate on almost all the same ones. Here's another one that's
Can I ask one more before we leave this?
Anything you want to ask.
So you know this, right? This won't be new to you, but Mr. Peanut has what?
Yes.
Top hat, cane, Monocle.
And I'm glad you brought that up. You know why? Because, you brought it up because they'll tell us we're misremembering it with Mr. Peanut. But the thing is, Mr. Peanut is only an American thing. It's not all over the world where all these people have memories of the Monocle with the Monopoly Man. There's so many people I brought this up to in other countries that do Mandela Effect videos, and they have no idea who Mr. Peanut is. Now, also, another huge one that falls into this is really good. So if I was to ask people in the chat what the Fruit of the Loom logo looks like, I want you to picture that in your head. Okay. Do you remember the Fruit of the Loom logo? And have you heard of this?
I'm tainted.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's the thing about this. Like once somebody knows, you can't ask them honestly.
No, but that's fine. You're being honest about it. That you're being honest about it. You could have came up here and acted like you didn't know and answered all the new reality on anything because
I could cheat the system here. So yeah.
Yeah. So no, I really appreciate it, and that helps me just flow more and more and interact with the chat. So if you guys remember the Fruit of the Loom logo being fruit with a cornucopia behind it, you're also Mandela affected on that. And that's what I clearly remember. Now, here's the thing with that. People will say things like, oh, you're just mixing it up with Thanksgiving images. I mean, dude, I've never really seen a cornucopia other than the Fruit of the Loom logo. That's the only reason I know what a cornucopia is. And in other countries, they're not celebrating Thanksgiving. Fruit of the Loom is a worldwide brand. And what I'm telling you, again, if you have a Fruit of the Loom t-shirt or underwear, anything in your closet, you're going to pull it out, and it's just going to be fruit with nothing behind it. Now, I saw somebody in your chat earlier, so I know not everybody is, against this.
This one's getting mixed results.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to question reality, especially.
See,
and here's the thing.
I would want a little more than, I don't know. How do you quantify this? This isn't science. This cannot be. We cannot falsify this or test it. So. Yeah.
Can I show you? I want to show you something. Sure. I'd like to get a screen share in a second. If I can.
All right. Yeah, I'll get ready for you.
All right. Cool. And let's see. I will go ahead and. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to turn it on yet because I just want to do something while I'm still big on the screen. So there's a famous statue called the Thinker statue. Okay. Now, if people in chat, I want you to think what the Thinker statue looks like, and I'll just get right to it and tell you what many people remember it to be because I think the evidence that goes along with this is pretty startling. So first off, before I get into it, people ask things which are all fair questions, like, okay, so what if? So everybody knows the Berenstein Bears is the Berenstain. And okay, so let's say that's a real change. And let's say you took a photograph of the book when it was Berenstein. What happens to the photograph? Well, the photograph would change. The photographs and videos would represent what the current reality is. Okay?
That's crazy. Just, it's out there.
That is crazy.
It is out there.
Absolutely.
Suggest that the photographs somehow are retroactively changed. So that's a high bar. High bar.
It is, but I would like to show you something that I would consider would point you towards that notion. Right. So the Thinker statue, what I always remember it to be was the fist to the forehead and the right elbow to the right knee. The Thinker statue by Rodin. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a screen share now. It says you disabled screen sharing.
Oh, I'll fix that. Default. Like you can't change the defaults. is for everything in Zoom. So all right, there you go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay, so check this out. So I'm gonna show you. Let's see. The thinker. Okay, so first I'm going to show you a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the reason I'm doing that is to just show you this is the pose how many of us remember it to be. The thinker statue was like this. This is what inspired Arnold to do this pose, and in fact, the thinker is now a pose in bodybuilding. So to get people familiar with what I remember it to be, and I'm not going to go and show you tons of these images. I could show you tons of people posing like this, but what I want to show you is just like 3 images real quick that I think are very significant. So remember what I just said. I said if something's a Mandela effect and it changes, if you photograph it, the photograph will change, okay? Of the item, not everything else in the photograph, but the photograph of the item, right? So check this out. This guy travels to a thinker statue, and there's different ones all over the world. Clearly the fist is under the chin.
But this isn't the original?
No, this isn't the original. But the original is in this orientation too. I'm gonna show you like 3 different ones.
Okay.
I'm not sure which exact is the original out of them, but they are all changed. They all, or even if you don't think they've changed, and this is BS, they all are in this orientation at this moment in time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So fist under the chin, right? And he's posing in front of the statue.
He's doing it Schwarzenegger style.
He's doing it the other way, and he's in front of the statue. It's right in
front of it, yeah.
So what I'm proposing is that he took this photo before the Mandela effect happened. The statue was in the other orientation.
Oh my gosh, that bar just got higher.
Okay, so check this out though. Another example.
All right,
this girl at a museum where it's clearly under the chin. I know it's a little hard to see because of whatever this is made out of, but that's
looks like Legos kind of, yeah.
It's kind of cool looking. And look at the little girl. She's right next to her. Fist to the forehead. Why?
Yeah.
I've got more though. Check this. This should happen. So check this out. 2 more to do with this one. This woman traveled to a thinker statue. Fist under the chin.
And she's got it on the forehead.
1 more. Now check this out, dude. It is like an entire school field trip. Fist under the chin. Look at all the kids. They're all fists to the forehead, dude. Why wouldn't this guy be like, you're posing the wrong way? What are you all doing?
I don't know. That's all right.
You've never seen nothing like that, have you? It is pretty wild.
That one. So I don't have a memory. So to be fair, I couldn't have, I wouldn't have answered either way. But this is, to have it right in front of the statue is interesting. But yeah, some people miss the forest for the trees, huh?
Yeah.
Or are they? Yeah. Is it that the whatever Arnold did and is just so pervasive? I don't know. So to think about this, let me see. I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna kill the screen share, but you can give it back to me in a few minutes, right?
Okay. I'm tainted. I'm a little tainted, but my memory of it seems to be Schwarzenegger much more than the actual statue.
Okay.
So, like I said, like my opinion of the actual original statue is not very strong. So,
and you know what's cool? You know what's cool is like, you're honest about it. Like the ones that you really have a strong memory of, like the Mirror and the Monopoly Man, you're honest about it. And we don't have to jump into saying you definitely believe it's all this or that, and we can just have the conversation. And I appreciate that. And the fact that you know some of these ahead of time and you let me know up front, I really do commend you for that. That's cool, man.
Here's an interesting one. Repo Sandman says, I never even remotely associated Arnold with the sculpture.
Yeah.
But that doesn't... to be fair, that doesn't explain all of these people doing the Schwarzenegger style pose in front of the actual statue.
And would the little kids really know the Schwarzenegger thinker bodybuilding pose? I mean, maybe. I mean,
they wouldn't necessarily.
Would that be more likely than
they wouldn't necessarily know him, but it's a pop culture thing, and it's bigger than just that one photo of Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions. What's the
Okay.
most famous museum in America? Begins with an S, 2 words.
The famous museum,
Yeah.
Smithsonian
2 words. Smithsonian.
Institute.
Yeah. So you're a science guy and you appreciate science. I think you're, a smart guy. And the Smithsonian Institute's a Mandela effect. It's never existed. If you search it right now, it's going to come back as the Smithsonian Institution.
Okay.
And listen, everybody remembers Institute. You just did. I didn't give you multiple choice. I'm not leading the
You did not,
the
yeah.
question. What's the DEA stand for?
Drug Enforcement Agency.
You're Mandela affected again.
Dang it.
The Drug Enforcement Agency has never existed. It's always been the Drug Enforcement Administration now.
Okay.
Now, we're talking about things that people, I can see people like, what's the point? It starts to add up though, where, do you think it's possible with all the stuff and investigation of this realm that's been done and everything, and, different people have different views and we're just focusing on this topic today, but do you think that, this is something that maybe science will discover at a point, even though you say it's not scientifically proven now? Do you think it'll ever head in that direction?
So I think that this is not falsifiable. And so that, and falsifiability is the demarcation line between science and not science. Mm-hmm. So since it's not falsifiable, you can't really attest for it. I don't think science can do much about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's
okay. So maybe I picked I picked the wrong words. But could something be real to you if it couldn't be proven scientifically? Like, do you believe it?
Well, yeah. There's more than just science to understanding things. Yes.
Awesome. Excellent. It's tough because I agree. I agree. When you can't measure it, you can't quantify it, you can't equate it, it makes it difficult. But eventually it comes down to, I think a lot of it is trusting yourself and trusting your experiences. Now, here's something to think about.
I don't trust my memory, though.
Yeah.
I'll say that, right? Memory is fragile, and your memory of something is only as good as the last time that you went over it or said it or explained it or wrote it or something like that. So our memory of things changes over time. And this is a well-known thing. It's not something that's I'm just pulling out of the air. It's something that criminal lawyers and police officers deal with, right?
Yeah, but there is a difference between, like, if there's a crime scene and details change later on down the line, whereas to something you've done with repetition your whole life. Like, for instance, one of the biggest Mandela effects for me is the theme song to Mr. Rogers. You're probably familiar with this if you've looked at this a little bit. But Mr. Rogers is something that I used to watch every day after school, and I used to watch it 5 times a week, and probably, who knows, a decade? I don't know how long, right? Hundreds of episodes. And he used to come through the door and sing "It's a Beautiful Day" in the neighborhood. Now when he comes through the door, he says "It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood." That is something that I've repeated like 1,000 times, so that's a lot different than, like, where did I put my car keys today, or even a crime scene. Some of these things are with tons of repetition. Some of them I'll give you. If it's a movie you've seen once or twice, it's like, how do you really know? Here's something that that I've saw probably hundreds of times, and that's I Love Lucy. And damn near every episode of I Love Lucy, Ricky Ricardo would come through the door, see that she was in mischief, and be like, "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." And so many people remember this so strongly.
Yeah, it's the saying, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, and now that's never been said. And not only that, the guy that said it, his name was Desi Arnaz. His name is not Desi Arnaz anymore. It's Desi Arnaz. But let's talk about something even.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Well, so, and that's, I understand people say, well, it's just a vowel, it's just a letter change. But there's some stronger name changes than that. But one thing that's pretty interesting with the Mandela effect, and I saw one of your mods typing about it earlier, saying he used to work in a video store, and he remembered the Genie movie with Sinbad called Shazam. Now,
I've been through this. Yeah, I've been through this.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing with the Shazam, though, right? I've talked to many, like, video stores were very popular in the mid-'90s. I've talked to literally many people, like at least a handful of people with that same story that they worked in the video store and they remember the movie Shazam. And now that movie's never existed. And not only that, they'll tell you you're mixing them up with Shaq and the movie Kazam, but these same people, including myself, remember how much of a ripoff we thought it was when the Shaq movie came out. Why would they make this movie? They just made a genie movie with Sinbad.
Okay, so when until you said that last part, I was with you. I've been through this before, so I can't be completely whatever untainted on this, but yeah, I do have memory of like you explained, but I don't have memory of thinking it was a ripoff, that it was a comparison. That is a totally new thing.
Do you remember the Shaq movie though, or you just didn't have that thought that it was a ripoff? Or you don't remember that Shaq movie at all?
I remember only one.
Yeah.
And now the problem is they're so mixed together, I can't say which one. I just know that I agree that there is whatever is the common one. That's the one that I have. But like I said, I can't remember which one is the misunderstanding versus the reality.
Yeah.
Can't say anymore.
Yeah, that one did get convoluted, and then they made a new movie with Shazam, with a superhero movie recently, and they even gave Sinbad a cameo in it. Like, it gets really convoluted if you're not following it closely.
Yeah, and that's the same thing, that once it enters pop culture, then it's the point of confluence that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
So
If I were to ask you to draw a dollar sign, what would you do? How would you describe drawing a dollar sign? You would pick up a pen.
There's a single bar.
Oh, so you remember the single bar?
I wrote typography software.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm my field definitely. I knew about that there's a single bar, not two.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my background invalidates my experience. So.
Well, that's cool. So another one that is caused a lot of controversy. I know you probably weren't following my videos or anything like that, but a lot of people were, and I had a lot of back and forth with Owen Benjamin over this one. I'm sure you know who that is. And that's to do with the Field of Dreams Mandela effect. And I'll just ask the chat real quick. There was a voice whispering in the cornfield, very creepy voice that said the following quote. Fill the rest in with your mind, and then type it in the chat if you want. If you build it, blank. If you build it, so
all right. So I have not heard this before. So perfect. I can say, if you build it, they will come.
Awesome.
There we got a couple in the chat. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, let it fill up. They will come. They will come. They will come. They will come. So I'll just spoil it now while it's filling up fast. Yeah. It is he will come, not they will come. It's never been they will come. Now, other things that are close to me. So
I'll tell you, that one, I had not heard it before. Yeah. That's significant. But again, I will say, at some point, pop culture picked it up. But yeah, my memory is absolutely, they will come.
So when I was 19 years old, how old are you? Are you late 40s?
I'm 13.
As I looked at your Facebook and it said you graduated college like the year I would have graduated high school, is that a correct timeline on that? Because I'm like, he doesn't look that old. I'm like, I didn't want to call you 50 years old or anything.
I picked the year based on when NASA was formed.
Oh, okay.
Because my account didn't have a birth year, so I put that in. I'm like, I'll mess with the flat earthers. I'll put when NASA was born, so 1958. But I did not. So Facebook doesn't like you changing your birthday, because that's a sign of somebody hacking your account. So don't try to go change your birthday just as a joke. But I had put in It's not. It's my birthday is not what Facebook says. Neither is the day. It's not February 18th. So and when I say 13, you know Joey Rocha.
Oh God.
Joey does not like you, and I'm glad he's not in the chat because he. I mean, Joey's got his strengths, but being nice to people is not one of them. So anyway, when I was debating Joey, he would ask how old I was. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you, and he started to get upset. And I'm like, I'm 13, and then it made him more upset. So from then on, I am perpetually 13.
Okay. We'll go with it. So here's the thing, right? Say an MC tune in a conversation. It's like 3 syllables, and I gather you don't like McTune because that's not really your name.
I don't mind it.
I wouldn't mind listen, I would love to call you your proper name, MC Tune, but I can't do it until we see at least one verse of a freestyle rap from you. I don't know if I buy this MC credentials, man. Where's it at, dude? When are you gonna rap from?
I mean, have you heard of the Geneva Convention?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is not a Mandela effect. No, my rapping violates the Geneva Convention.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of smaller stuff, and I think people get the idea, and I do appreciate people listening, even the people that haven't been that interested. I know some people are like, I've heard of these. So let's get to some bigger things, because actually, how about I just get to right away my biggest Mandela effect we'll talk about, and why it's my biggest. Okay, and that's there's a lot of historical changes in this, whatever you want to call this place, in my opinion. Okay, now, growing up and in school, and then, around the time 9/11 happened, one thing that I always heard was that Pearl Harbor was the first major foreign attack on U.S. soil, and that 9/11 was the second. That's a narrative that I had always heard. Now, here's the problem with that. Because now, in this reality, there's this whole other attack that happened, and it's a significant attack, where in 1916, 2 German spies snuck in through New Jersey and blew off 1 million pounds of TNT in the New York Harbor. They're calling it the largest man-made non-nuclear explosion in the history of the world. It injured 120 people, killed 5, blew out all the windows of Lower Manhattan, and damaged the torch of the Statue of Liberty so bad that nobody's ever been there. Have you ever heard of this attack?
That nobody's ever been where?
To the torch.
Oh, up to the torch. It damaged the torch?
Yeah.
Have I heard of that?
Yeah.
No.
And I probably should have started by the name, but if I would have dropped the name of it, nobody would have known it anyways. They obviously haven't heard of this event. If you guys have heard of it, I'll give you a chance to answer. What's the name of this event? Yes, 2 German spies snuck in through New Jersey into the New York Harbor, blew up a munitions depot with 1 million pounds of TNT and everything else I just said, and it's called Black Tom. And the problem with this is not only is this ridiculous that this would happen in New York, nobody's ever heard of it, 1916. I've spoken to people that have been in the torch at length. Several people have called in and spoken about their stories to the torch.
They've been in the torch.
They've been in the torch, but that's an impossibility now because the torch has been closed since 1916.
It's been closed to the public or closed to everybody?
Close to the public, and I mean, there's maintenance crews and things that would go there. So, like, if you saw a picture from up there, you would have to make sure it's not from a maintenance crew. There was some of that going around. But as far as people having access to the torch, now it's always been closed since 1916.
So this is interesting. We got Oz Kiwi Mike, or Mick, says, I'm Australian and I've heard of this. Yeah, Kermit says, I've not heard of it. Texas Troy says it is insignificant. Now Joey Hanna says Black Tom Island explosion. Let's see what we got here. It's the first one to me. Timbo Turtle says, when the first major attack be the War of Independence, or certainly the War of 1812. Yeah. Let's see. Dano says, help, I'm getting dumber listening to this. Meg the Artist says it was closed in the 80s or 90s.
That's true. There was renovations that were done around 1986. That's also still true.
So I tell you a couple things. I have a vivid memory of seeing a documentary about
Hmm.
a worker, not public,
Hmm.
going into the torch and saying that they used to do tours in the torch, but I have no memory of the year that they
That's
stopped
right.
doing tours. I've been to the Crown, and I've looked out
Hmm.
the Crown myself. When I was in high school in 1904, Time Lord Science.
When you were reading that book with Mirror Mirror in it.
Yes, the original. It was a handwritten by the author. Um, I don't know who wrote it. Who actually wrote the original? So
Oh, the Grimm's brothers or something like that is who's
okay.
attributed to that book.
So
Yeah, there was
Flat Earth is Nonsense says that MJ, I think Michael Jackson, has been up there. Which yeah, I mean, I suppose
yeah, yeah, but
with
that's a music
connections,
video though.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
connections
different.
and money and whatever you can make it happen. But yeah, not tours. So yeah, I don't know. That is
Yeah.
news to me.
Okay, so when I first started to look at the Mandela effect, a couple things grabbed me real quickly, and if there's one particular thing. Now, this is one that's going to probably a lot of people going to find it really hard to fathom, but I'm going to talk about geography for a minute. And there's been some geographical changes where the land masses are not what they used to be, where they used to be, the size they used to be, different examples like this. Now, we all know that there's different map projections and different imageries and different maps, different reasons and all this, but this is not what we're talking about here. Okay, so if I say, I'm going to ask the chat something, and if I say that, I ask you the question and you remember it the way I do, what I'm claiming is you can go pull a globe out of your closet that's 50 years old and it's going to reflect the change that has occurred. It's not going to have what you remember as far as this. If you do indeed remember what I remember. So if I was to ask everybody in the chat to describe to me the location of Cuba and the size of Cuba in relation to Florida, what would you people say? And the reason this is so big for me is because what I remember is I remember Cuba being a small island to the southeast of Florida. That's what I remember in my reality. What do you remember? It looks like you haven't heard of
Uh,
this yet. So what do you
yeah,
picture of
this
Cuba?
yeah, it's south. I don't know, southeast. If I were to say something, I would say southwest. I've been to Key West, and I've been to the point where there's this big thing that says Cuba is this many miles. But Cuba is one of the bigger islands in the Caribbean or in that whole vicinity there. So I don't know why. Yeah, small doesn't come to mind, but
Yeah, well, for me, it was a small island to the southeast, and now it's a huge island as big as Florida, and it's southeast and southwest and almost connected to Mexico. And that is very strange to me. That's not how I remember it, but that is how it is reflected on every map, every globe, every whatever you want to look out for the layout of the land. So, what about what type of music you like?
metal.
Okay, I don't have too many metal ones to bring up, but what about like alternative and grunge in the 90s? You familiar with Nirvana? You must be.
No, Nirvana doesn't exist.
No, they do
Neither,
exist.
neither does any of that grunge garbage that put an end to the good music.
Okay. So you probably didn't see the Nirvana Unplugged on MTV performance right before Kurt Cobain died? Well,
No, I didn't. I have one memory of Nirvana on TV that was Saturday Night Live, and Kurt Cobain at the end of it took his guitar's neck and jammed it through the heads of the amp the speakers.
yeah. Well, for anybody that does remember that performance, I want you to think about what the stage looked like. And he was surrounded with candles. The stage was surrounded with candles. And I want you to tell me what color those candles were on the stage of the Nirvana Unplugged performance. And this is kind of, this is kind of symbolic. I see this a lot with these changes. And I'll just get right to it. So I remember it was very iconic, and it was like an acoustic performance, and they were surrounded with all these white candles. And now all the white candles are black. And I remember them totally being white. Now you almost can't see them because they're all black. And I know you have
I have no memory. I have nothing.
no recollection of that.
Yeah.
Why is a kidney punch illegal in boxing?
I don't know. When I was doing martial arts, that was it. We talked about that as a target.
The kidney?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't
You
wouldn't
could
use
really-
it in our martial arts. You wouldn't use it in a match. That would, but yeah,
Can you demonstrate how you would do it? How you would punch somebody in the kidney?
it's around the back
Stand up
a little
Can you
bit.
stand up and show us?
Right there. I don't know if we can. Hold on. Let me. I can't see myself. Hold on. Right there.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe because I did martial arts, I have a different experience. I could.
Yeah.
Understand.
So there are a lot of words that have changed as well with the Mandela effect, and one of them it's very interesting.
You got me. You teased me with this kidney thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because the kidney, from what I recall, was in your lower back, and the reason a kidney punch is illegal is because your kidney is exposed, and you could get punched in the kidney, and it could do serious damage.
Yeah.
Well, the kidney's
I
not
know
in
that,
your lower. It's not in your lower back. Your kidney is up higher now, protected behind the bone of your rib cage.
Oh.
So I remember the kidney being unprotected, and that was the whole reason. One that's big for me is the word dilemma. Have you heard about this?
No, I have not.
Could you spell the word dilemma?
I would definitely use spell check. Dilemma.
Okay. So I remember it being Dilemna with a silent N, as
What?
do, yeah. I know it sounds ridiculous, but here's the crazy
Is
part
it
about it. So
dill enema?
like if you were to pronounce it phonetically, it would be like dilemma. Now, what's interesting is like a lot of people do remember it that way, and they also remember intentionally mispronouncing it to spell it proper. And now it's always been just with a double M.
Oh, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's a new one. All right.
Yeah. What about
This is cool. All right. So for the audience here, this is interesting. I don't know where we're going with this. I'll reserve my judgment for later. But it is really cool, Brian. I appreciate that you have found some things that I have never heard of before, and that I definitely fell into the line that you're talking about. And I also is it a win? I don't know. It's not a competition, but that there are some things that you mentioned that I did not. So a dilemma.
yeah.
I got right. I'm good for me for spelling it right. I guess. I do rely on spell check. Anyway.
Yeah. It's not a competition. I'm just trying
how many L's in Mandela?
Well, that's interesting because there's only one, and I've seen you spell it with too many times, and many people I know, including myself and other Mandela Effect content creators, had playlists and videos with two L's until several years ago.
How many E's in Staveley? I misspelled it. I did. I misspelled it when I was making the thumbnail. I'm like, I better check.
Yeah, that's funny because there was a lot of people talking about that before, that my name might have had shifted.
They shifted your name, Brian.
Oh, and we can get to some theories and stuff pretty soon. What is your familiarity with the Bible? And this isn't a religious conversation. It's just for what's your knowledge on.
I've read it.
Yeah. So if I were to ask you a couple verses, maybe you could just fill in the blanks real quick. It's just like 3 or 4.
All right.
And if you don't know it, you don't know it. Yeah.
King James, NIV, RSV, ESV, Message, Amplified.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because people will say, Brian, there's so many translations of the Bible. The Bible's been changed, ... The changes I'm going to present here are universal. It doesn't matter which version. Okay. And there is one that is a KJV exclusive that I'll present.
Okay.
But if I would ask you in the book of Isaiah, what animal lies down with the lamb, what would you say?
It's the lion.
Okay. And without hesitation, you said that. And there's many animals in the Bible. If you have a Bible right there?
I do. Let's see. Yeah.
Could you open it?
Hold on.
So without hesitation, he just said the lion, as many people in the chat are saying. Isaiah 11:6, and what it signifies is the millennial reign of Jesus. And I'm not a religious guy at all. I have friends that are religious, friends, and I appreciate it.
What was it? Isaiah what?
Isaiah 11:6. And you're going to see that your Bible does not say lion. It's going to say the wolf.
11:6. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips, he will slay the wicked.
I don't think you're in Isaiah. Isaiah 11:6?
Yeah, it's Isaiah. Or 5. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong one. The wolf will lie down with the lamb. The leopard will not lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and the little child will lead them.
So, obviously, you remembered lion, and I could obviously tell you that, I've asked many people this and actually had many people pull out their Bibles and check after I brought it up on the show. And every single time, people answer lion. Every single time I do this. Lion, lion, lion. Now, if it's just people mixing up animals, why is there no variation? Why doesn't anybody say the ox? Why doesn't anybody say the other thing? It's always the lion and the lamb, the lion and the lamb, the lion and the lamb. Now, if you look all around,
that's pop culture, though. Yeah.
Well, it's more than just, so all the statues, all the, stained glass windows there's churches that are named the lion and the lamb. There's a book that I have from 1969 Ambassador College. It has the lion and the lamb on the seal. Oh, I know you can't see this really well. I'll send you a still image of it after. We'll show a still image of it after. It still says the lion and the lamb, but this isn't the text in the Bible. Obviously, it's not an unchanged Bible. But here's the thing. I approached just the other day Jehovah's Witnesses, and I had my spy glasses on and I'm recording and I'm talking to them, and they're like, I asked them how long have they been, studying the Bible. They're on the street corner teaching Bible courses. That's their thing, And I asked them how long they've been teaching. 60 years, she tells me. Yeah. Now she has a different Bible. It's called the New World Translation. But like I said,
I have a copy of that one here too.
Yeah, so that one will say the wolf. It won't say lion. It will say the wolf will live with the lamb. And I brought this up to her because I asked her, I said, hey, in the book of Isaiah, there's this really profound verse that people told me it's about the millennial reign. What animal lies with the lamb in that verse? And she said, oh, well, it's the lion. The lion will live with the lamb. And you're going to see in that Bible as well, it's the wolf. It's in every single one.
Yeah. It goes to pop culture. So here's a question for you. The Genesis album, what lies down on Broadway?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
It's the same answer. It's the lion.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I did that just for Dora.
So here's the point I want to make, though, because people have said things like,
just for reference. It's too small for me to read. There's no way I'm reading this. Sorry. Oh, I have a lion here. Right here.
There you go.
This is the docile cat. This is Raccoon. No, she's mine. All mine. She's wearing, I think she's borrowing this sweatshirt here also. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's another famous verse that I approach. So again, I approach these people. I approach people at the beach and talk to pastors and preachers are waving their Bible on the beach. They don't mind if you film them.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Liquid Flames said something. It says Revelation 5:5-6. All right.
It doesn't say the lion laying with the lamb, though. The animals might be in that verse, another reference, but it's not going to say.
Let's see here. Hold on, I'm gonna take this, Brian. I'm gonna take it if I can. Then I saw the lamb looking out, had been slain, standing in the center of the throne, circled by the living four creatures. He had 7 horns. Hold on. Then one of the elders said, "There's no lamb in here."
No.
Oh, no, okay. All right, hold on. Yeah, you're right. So here. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He's able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw the lamb looking as it had been slain. So it's not the lion lays down with the lamb, but it is a lion and a lamb together in the same reference.
Yeah, and I know.
Well, I got to give credit. I think Texas Troy got it first, but Shovelhead Steve also says the lamb lies down on Broadway. For reference, I like the Phil Collins version of Genesis more than the Peter Gabriel version of Genesis. Some people take homage with that, so sorry. They take umbrage.
Yeah, Phil Collins is cool. I definitely I appreciate everybody being here, and I know it's a mixed crowd and not everybody's into it, but I promise if he gives us the time shortly after we discuss a little more, I'll answer any questions anybody has, you know. But here's another one. So there's a famous quote, and then we'll be done with the Bible stuff, okay? But I know everybody's going to know this one. It's in Hosea 4:6, and it's, "My people blank for a lack of knowledge." Are you familiar with that? My people for a lack of knowledge.
I've got a bunch of words now. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So it was my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And now it says my people are destroyed. And that's universal. It's in everyone.
Okay.
You know. Okay. So you want to talk about what might be going on here, or like when this might have started, or I don't know, where do you want to go from here? What type of questions do you have? What's the chat thinking? You know,
we got a lot. There's a lot of feedback from the chat.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I'm curious to hear where this is all going, because I mean, this was a bunch of stuff that some confirms, some does not. But all right, let me see what we got here from the chat. We got Jezen. Jezen's a new member at Newton. Thank you for that. Many Karen says, "Please tell our guest that there's a Mr. Occam on the line for him."
Yeah, Occam's razor doesn't always explain everything. It doesn't always explain everything. That's not a 100% thing.
No, the point of Occam's for people for reference, Occam's razor is the one. It's not a law or anything like that. It's when trying to investigate something, you go for the one that has the least assumptions, and that's the one that's probably your best course. So
yeah. What other questions do we have?
Let's see. All right. Snow White. This is from Icy Spin. Says it's not a common book read as a nighttime story. Book read. Yeah, it's not a common book read as a nighttime story. No, Snow White's not such a nighttime story, is it?
Yeah. Another thing I grew up with, right? While you're reading the comments real quick. You ever had stovetop stuffing when you were younger?
No, but I've heard of it.
Who makes it?
My mom made our stuffing.
Oh, you don't make the national brand?
I don't know if I've ever had boxed stuffing.
Really? Good for you. You know, I brought this up too on my show. My mother's like, "Don't tell people I fed that to you. I always made you homemade."
All right, so I see in the chat, one says Stouffer's, another says Betty Crocker.
Yeah.
So the first one I saw was Stouffer's.
Yeah.
All right. There's another Stouffer's. Stovetop, Betty Crocker, Kraft. I think people are just making up crap now. All right.
So Stouffer's is what I remember it being, and now Stouffer's has never made stovetop stuffing.
Okay.
And I remember the red and yellow box clearly. What about a yield sign? What color is a yield sign?
What's the right answer?
Kraft. Always been Kraft now.
Okay. What color is a yield sign? I'm colorblind. I don't actually remember colors often. Yield sign to me is yellow.
Thank you. What's the chat remember? What color is a yield sign? And I'm going to guess, you can tell me your exact age. Yield signs are red and black and white, and they haven't been yellow since 1971, which predates my birth. But I remember them yellow growing up as a teenager getting my license.
Oh, we got a bunch of yellows.
Yep. They've never been yellow since 1971. They are red and black now.
Yeah, the like the emojis and stuff are yellow, aren't they?
Yeah. They might be. I don't use the emojis.
Right? You're not like the teenagers or the Hold on a second. Have you never been in a Facebook group for flat earthers? Because the flat earthers use emojis a lot.
I don't do well with Facebook groups, and I don't even do well with emojis on YouTube channels or anything like that. I just don't waste my time. The most you'll get out of me is a smiley face, really. That's about it, dude. That's about it. So speaking of cars, while we're on it, there was a famous, I shouldn't say famous, there was on the side mirrors of every car in the United States, there's a message on there about objects in the mirror. Do you know what that message says?
They're closer than they appear.
Okay. That's what you remember, the whole thing? Objects in mirror.
Closer than they appear.
Because
that's my memory of it, and that's when my memory is from a movie. What movie am I thinking of?
Probably Jurassic Park.
Yes.
But your memory is correct to this current, whatever this is that we're experiencing. But what I remember, and many do, and I want to tell you about a significant piece of what I call residue, is objects in the mirror may be closer than they appear. And what's interesting is, I recently had to take some classes from the DMV online.
Well, we got a bunch of people said maybe.
Yep. Everybody that says maybe, it's never been maybe in this reality. And here's the thing, cars are remade, reissued. Go check the car in your driveway. I'm saying, if you're sure that it says maybe, you're going to go out there and it's going to say objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Speaking of cars, many car manufacturers' logos have changed. So here's an anchor memory for you. My first car that I bought was an Acura Integra used, but then a couple of years later, my first brand new car off the lot was a Volkswagen Jetta GT. I'm assuming you're probably familiar with what people call the Mandela effect.
I've seen this one, so yeah, I won't answer.
So I'm going to just explain it to people. The Volkswagen that I had a V and a W and a circle on the back of it, and the V and the W were merged smoothly. And the thing with the Volkswagen, it's a very artistic logo. It's used in paintings all over the place and stuff, and artwork, and people draw it all the time. And it was a V and a W merged inside a circle. And it was on the back of my car. I washed my car all the time. I know what my car looked like. Now the Volkswagen logo, the V and the W, are split apart. Yep. And it was never split apart for me, but there's actually two changes there for me, because this was like 97, so the internet wasn't really, the thing it is now. I would use catalogs to look for parts for my car. And you would have to know if you were getting the German or the American part. And the way you would know is if it was spelled Volkswagen with an EN or Volkswagen with an ON, because the American had one spelling and the German had another. But now there has never been the American spelling of Volkswagen. It's always been with the EN worldwide, and the emblems have always had a split in it. I own the car. That is huge for me. Huge for me.
All right, let's get through a few more of these questions here. Chronic Avenger says, do you remember it from the movie or from pop culture misstating it? That's again about Snow White. Cinecon says, would the butterfly effect not change the course of history as a result of small changes in pop culture? A butterfly effect is a whole different thing, though, right? That's go back in time, change one small thing.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think that this is time travel or the butterfly effect, and we'll get into all the reasons why. Go ahead, continue reading the chat. I'll answer everything.
Underground Tunnel says, all hail Flats, inventor of the succession angle. That must be Flatzoid. Flatzoid is Flatzoid apparently, I haven't watched it yet, apparently tried to do some celestial navigation, declared it to be a successful application of flat Earth celestial navigation, even though he was over 500 kilometers off. And something about succession angle, I don't know. I can't keep up with him. He puts out a lot. Todd Burt says, people misremember and we adapt existing content. Even JM Truth could understand this.
No. Well, please don't compare me.
That's low. That is
I've
low,
seen
Todd Burns.
I've seen JM Truth.
JM goof. Oh, what a goofball. C3P hole says lion and lamb, wolf and lamb. So maybe C3P hole knew what you're talking about.
If I
here's
were to
one.
ask you, oh, go ahead, continue.
No, you finished that on this topic.
I just want to show you one real quick before I forget, because it's kind of a big one for me. If I were to ask you to put an image for you to describe to me where are the engines on a commercial airliner located in relation to the wing?
Under the wing, you mean? They're like
Yeah, exactly.
in front and slung under.
In front and slung under.
Yeah.
So like how far under, how far in front?
I think the majority of the engine, or at least a large portion of it, is in front of the wing, and all of the engine is under the wing in a regular commercial plane.
I'm going to show you an image right now. It's not a real photograph. This is a video game. Okay. This is what is this kind of what you would think an airplane looks like? I mean, this is a video game.
No, the engine needs to be farther forward.
Oh, okay, interesting. Because I remember the airplanes looking like this, and now all the commercial airliners look like this. That's how you always remember it to be? That far forward?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder what the chat remembers on that.
We got depends on model. You got this, people just misremember. We got Adrenochrome Slurper says airplane designs change.
They do, but that engine off the front of the airline is, other than one Boeing 737 exception, it goes back all the way. So you won't find them with them under the wing on the commercial airliners, even if you go back 20 or 30 years.
Huh? We got a lot of people saying, but we get a variation on this. We got forward. Some people saying they changed, which probably I would take to mean that they they remember it different. Justin Frank says turbofans and low bypass turbofans are smaller. High bypass turbofans are larger and don't fit under the wing. I don't know the technology. Certainly there's different like military type designs, which is not what you were talking about.
Oh yeah. No. I'm talking about commercial airliners.
All right. Earthrise says, I think Houston, we have a problem is mine. Is that
he's saying what? That's going to be a tough one to convince anybody of right here, but I'm glad you brought it up because there are a few Mandela effects that have changed and changed back. And in that movie with Tom Hanks, not the actual NASA thing, but the audio, but in the movie Apollo 13, Tom Hanks, where he says, Houston, we have a problem, that actually changed to Houston, we've had a problem. Now, of course, nobody's going to believe me right now if they weren't here to experience that, but let me just tell the story. It changed from Houston, we have a problem, to Houston, we've had a problem. People in the community talked about it, videos were done on it, and then one day it changed back to the way it was, and all those conversations were gone. But what's interesting is there is something left over from it. So when Houston, we have a problem, changed to past tense, Houston, we've had a problem. There were several articles that came out on some large publications talking about the biggest movie misquotes of all time. They called Apollo 13 the biggest movie misquote of all time. Houston, we have a problem, misquote, the real line, Houston, we've had a problem. But now that movie is back and it says, Houston, we have a problem. Yet those couple of articles still exist calling it a misquote.
I'll take your word for it, because it's clear that you're not just saying these things, that you have the backing.
I do. I have a video. I have a short video on it. I have articles linked in it and everything.
All right. So for reference, they did say have a problem. Mm-hmm. The movie said have a problem, but there's articles that say they got it wrong. even though the
Yeah, well,
movie and
actually,
reality match.
you're actually wrong about the NASA. The NASA audio right now says it in past tense. Houston, we've had a problem. The movie says it in current, but at one time the movie went to past tense. Articles came out calling the Houston, we have a problem a misquote because here it is, Houston, we've had a problem in the movie, and then the movie changed back to Houston, we have a problem. And I know it sounds, way out there if you don't observe it, but somebody
Yeah.
brought it up, so I definitely will address it. And I do have a short video on it if you guys want to check it out after.
So your channel is linked in the description if people want to go
Yes.
find it. Street News 1 says, was Bruce Springsteen Bruce Springsteen before?
Well, interesting. What was in his back pocket on the 1984 album? In the back pocket of his jeans.
I have no idea.
So do you guys remember the iconic album with Bruce Springsteen and his jeans? What was in his back pocket? What's hanging out of his back pocket? And we should give them a second to answer that because this is an interesting one. You're not familiar with that? Huh?
We've got
just
a
Genesis,
hat,
no Bruce.
a hat, a bandana, a hat,
Bandana flag, bandana hat, red
a
rag,
condom, a wallet. We've got a who cares, an oil rag, a yellow banana, pocket cheese. All right, we're into goofiness now.
Yeah. It was a red bandana for me, but now it is a red hat.
All right. I was never a Bruce Springsteen fan, so
I wasn't big into him either. You know who I was into at that time? It's kind of embarrassing now because they suck. It's Bon Jovi. I used to love Bon Jovi when I was that age. I'll put myself out there. I don't care.
One of my kids' friends was like, "Have you ever heard of Bon Jovi?" Like, yes, I've heard of Bon Jovi.
That's funny.
All right. Redacted says the Mandela effect is simply a combination of stubborn individuals being unable to admit they misremembered a small detail, and schizotypal people seeing connections where there aren't any.
Everybody type Chick-fil-A in the chat. Type Chick-fil-A in the chat. The restaurant, the chicken restaurant, the way you spell it, the way you think it's spelled. Chick-fil-A. So that's these are like Chick-fil-A is a big one because if you go online and you look, it's weird as it is, there's these people that have a fad of going around to chicken restaurants and reviewing the sandwiches. They go to every Chick-fil-A and Popeyes and one of the other ones, and these like viral videos on YouTube. It's like a really big thing. And thousands of these videos have Chick-fil-A spelled C-H-I-C. And it's never been that in this reality.
So I typed C-H-I-K.
Mm-hmm.
Kit McGuire has a C. We got Cinecons has a CK. We got K, C, CK. It's all over the place. Oh, somebody did a Q just to be that guy. CHIQ.
And it's always been CHICK, which is an actual word in the English language already. So why would people mistakenly all drop a letter off a word and to make something else up that doesn't exist?
Well, because the rest of it is misspelled too, right? It's not fillet is misspelled.
Fillet, right? I get you.
Yeah.
I understand.
So having the first part misspelled when the second part is misspelled isn't a stretch, right? Hold on. Oh, PhD Tony says pump the brakes. He's been in a multiverse where Bon Jovi was good.
Only the first 3 albums I liked, and then I was done. I was a little kid, man. I was a little kid.
That is no defense, I gotta say. Mr. Lonely says Mandela effect is the smoke that don't crack. Dave Kircher says, oh, I scrolled too far. Says if I had $10, I would have given a $10 super chat, but I'm in a reality where $10 mysteriously disappeared a few seconds ago, so I can't. And by the way, that was a $10 super chat. NA says for $6.66, I worked in 2 different video stores for years. That movie never happened. He's talking about Shazam versus Kazam.
Oh, so he's saying he doesn't remember it being a thing, or
that's what he
remembers
says.
that now it's never happened. Okay.
Well, that movie never happened is his comment. So Eddie Reese says institute versus institution and agency versus administration is more an argument of semantics than Mandela effect. How many people mistake the A in NASA to stand for agency instead of administration? I think that's fair.
A lot of people do, but here's the thing. So why isn't there a divide though? Like say, so you can try this yourself. You know, anybody can try it. Ask 20 people Smithsonian, have them fill in the second word. Why isn't there a mixture? Almost everybody's going to say institute. Almost everybody's going to say drug enforcement agency. Not everybody, but the high majority, and so many of these, is going to say the wrong answer and in unison with each other. That's what makes it so insane to think that it would just be a misremembrance. It's like I talk about a thing about a grocery store, right? And of course I would never do this, but if you could lock 100 adults in a grocery store and ask them some of these, a lot of these changes, they'd be in the 90 percentile.
I don't know. The lady doth protest too much, methinks. You've done it, haven't you? You've locked people in grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
Brian,
yeah.
The secret is out. All right. Yeah. Leslie Rohrer says his hypothesis fails with me 5 out of 5. Oh.
That's fine.
Leslie, yeah, your first 5 there. Leslie was not, did not match. Anthony Fox says in Star Wars, Darth Vader does not say, Luke, I am your father.
Well, here's the thing. I disagree with that.
He doesn't say Luke.
For me, that's not a Mandela effect for me. I know a lot of people talk about that.
Oh.
But there are other ones in Star Wars that are for me. In fact, so in the original Star Wars, maybe you remember this. I see you have an R2-D2 behind you. There's a famous scene when they go into the where the garbage is, and it's the walls start to close on them, right? And Luke picks up the communicator and he yells at C-3PO. Do you remember what he yells to?
I don't.
He yells, "Shut down all the on the detention level. Shut down all the on the detention level."
I don't know.
Well, he used to really shut down all the garbage, all the trash compactors on the detention level. Shut down all the trash compactors on the detention level. And now he says, shut down all the garbage mashers on the detention level.
Garbage mashers.
Garbage mashers. And you could go and look at people that have done recreations of the scene all over the place, and their videos are all titled Trash Compactor. Yet they're saying, the quote from the movie is now garbage masher.
I've never heard anybody say garbage masher. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I guess. I think it is in the UK. Maybe they call it that. I don't know where they call it that. It was always a trash compactor where I'm from.
All right. This is a good one. I think this is really, I think this will be, life-changing. Okay. Caucasian Sensation says the inventor of the vibrator had someone say, if you build it, they will come.
That's a good one. I gotta give it to you, that one. I like good comedy, man. That's good.
Matt Patak says, have you heard our national anthem written in 1814?
Say that again?
Have you heard our national anthem written in 1814?
Which national anthem? The American?
Yeah, he's American.
Well, it would have been written before then, right? Wasn't it before that? I don't know when they wrote the national anthem in comparison.
I have no memory of when the national anthem was written. Certainly wasn't 1776. It would have had to be after that.
Yeah, so that time frame might work.
IC Spin says class trip in 2001 went into the crown, not the torch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you couldn't go into the torch now.
Mute Donkey says, not weird for George Lucas to use a slightly different thing because it was not supposed to be Earth.
What's he talking about? What is that in relation to?
Garbage masher versus trash compactor. See, I've never heard, and I can't say what I heard from the movie, but I've never heard outside of this conversation right now, garbage masher.
Yeah.
But I've heard trash compactor.
Now. And I don't know how many times you've seen Star Wars, but it's, a little weird it wouldn't register because, it's a pretty emotional line. And I used to love Star Wars. I saw it like 200 times.
You still can. It's okay.
Oh, I watched the
watched
The Mandalorian. I didn't watch the last couple episodes yet, but I'm going to watch The Mandalorian. It's pretty good.
just for reference, and some people think I'm wrong on this, and this is not the Mandela effect. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 suck.
Oh, dude, I honestly don't mind episode 3, but 1 and 2 are awful. 1 is unwatchable. I liked 3 a bit. Revenge of the Sith was pretty good. But yeah, dude, I couldn't. Especially Phantom Menace. I waited years, and then I went to the movies to see that, and I was so disappointed, dude. I was like, this is just awful.
All right. Greenville says every Canadian will be happy to remind you that one of the first major attacks on U.S. soil was us burning down your White House. Sorry. That was the war of was it 1812, was it?
I think so.
Stringers One says I see 4 candles. You know what that's
Talking
for?
about Nirvana?
Well, I think he's mixing Nirvana and something else. You know what he's mixing?
No.
Star Trek, Picard, when they were trying to force him to say a different number of lights that he was seeing than there were actually lights to break his will.
Okay. Okay.
Extra J says, was it Lake Titicaca with 2 T's in them, T-I-T-T-I, or Lake Titicaca, just T-I-T-I? I'm pretty sure it's spelled Titicaca with 2 T's. Titicaca with 2 T's seems legit. Titicaca with 1 T can't be right. It's Titicaca with 2 T's.
Yeah. Completely lost me, but I'm sure that was the intention of it. So it's good. No idea how that's
Brian,
spelled.
Brian, what's the funniest lake name on the globe?
Well, it would have to be Titicaca, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've seen you guys talk about it, but I just don't know how it's spelled.
Titicaca.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're getting close to the end of this group here. So Matto311 says Mandela sounds more like a bad memory.
Yeah, I understand a lot of people think that. But when I've had so many things, I resonate with hundreds and hundreds of different changes. And when you go in and you start to look into it, you start to see that that corroborates with so many other people. And then there happens to be so much physical evidence. I mean, we're talking like newspapers going back hundreds of years with references to all these things that no longer exist, statues and monuments going back years, parodies, skits. Some of the stuff, I even have it's pretty hardcore evidence. So are you familiar with the company Procter and Gamble?
I've heard of them, yes.
So Procter and Gamble used to be spelled for me Proctor, Proctor, and it was named after a guy named William Proctor. Now William Proctor is Proctor with an ER. The company is Proctor with an ER, but I have patents from that company for a whole bunch of products that they did, right? And any of the patents before 2014 have Proctor with an OR on it, even though it's always been an ER in this reality.
Are you serial?
I can show some of them.
That's interesting. All right, let me.
I have a video on it too if you want to check it out. Short video.
Mr. Unite for the Chillwind says Pensacola used to be Pensasoda Beach. Mandela.
And isn't it funny you got there like a couple of weeks after me? We were both just there.
He's kidding. Yeah, we found out that Brian and I were at Pensacola Beach just a couple like 2 weeks maybe apart.
You could have came to our Flat Earth Mandela Effect meetup, Toon.
I'd go. I went to the 2019 convention in Dallas.
Yeah.
Were you? I know you went to the one in that this last year, 2022.
I went to all of Karen's events. So the first one was 2019, okay. And then 2020, 21. I never went to the FEIC one, but my first one was one in over here.
Oh, here's a good question. What about Istanbul and Constantinople? Is that Mandela effect too?
What do you mean?
It's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Istanbul,
not Constantinople. If you have a date with a girl in Constantinople, should be waiting in Istanbul.
Oh, I don't know that one.
They might be giants. Many Karen says, Many Karen lives in Israel. Speaks Hebrew. He says Hebrew wolf. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Vegar Zaen im Kivs equals, and the wolf shall lie with the lamb. And every Hebrew speaker will know that.
Wrong. We've shown tons of Hebrew speakers. In fact, one of my guys is Blue Pac-Man 13 has tons of videos showing people of all different backgrounds, including many Hebrews quoting the Lion and the Lamb with very much passion. People that have been scholars of the text for many, many, many years. So that is actually wrong. I'm not saying everyone. I'm not saying there's never a case of what you're saying, but to say that that's what they'll all say is absolutely wrong. We've shown that.
Right. Many Karen disagrees with you, but all right. Some old dude says, why your kidneys are below the rib cage in your lower abdomen, and they've always been there. They're not protected by your ribs. Sorry, this guy's wrong, and it's always been this way. No Mandela effect.
But they're not now they are protected behind your rib cage. So what they're saying is
no.
Bad.
Some old dude says they are not protected by your ribs.
Well, he's wrong. He could bring up images right now and look and see where they are. They're behind the rib cage.
Huh?
In the back. They're protected with bone in front of them.
Maybe he's doubling down on that. I don't know. Shovelhead Steve got the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. All right. All right. Let's see. Well,
so
we'll have to come back. Let's. You've given lots of examples. Let's go to what you think this is. I mean, this is a lot of build up to.
Sure.
Something.
What do you think if let's just say it's not misremembering and there's something happening and there have been things that have changed? What do you think is there anything in your mind that would be more plausible than anything else? Like what do you consider? Because I know some of the ideas of and I disagree with a lot of the scientific community on some things or whatever, but they do entertain ideas of multiverse and simulation and these ideas. And these aren't what I think it is, but are those some of the things you would lean towards, or like what do you think could possibly alter this reality if it could happen?
Well, yeah, I'm not of the opinion that this reality is altered somehow. I definitely am more of our memories are fragile and pop culture can influence our memories and can overshadow the original if we were around for the original, right? So the Monopoly guy having a monocle might predate you or I, right, being born. So at right, we were only post confluence on some things, and on some things we were not. So I don't know. I would go for more likely it's fragile memory.
Okay. So I'll tell you guys some of the more popular theories and why I disagree with them, then I'll get to what I think it is. So the first thing that you hear when you look at the Mandela effect, and if you are going to think that there's something more than bad memory and that things have changed, most people jump to CERN. And I don't believe it's CERN. I'm not one of those people that's out there talking about CERN all the time and CERN's changing our reality. I actually don't believe that at all.
I thank you for that, because that's pretty ridiculous.
I've been very vocal about that for a long time. I've also been very vocal about the fact that I don't think that we live in a simulation. And I know a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier, like Joey, you mentioned earlier, would always try and straw man me and tell people, Brian thinks CERN is bombarding particles and we live in a simulation. And it's like Joey exactly what I don't think. Oh yeah, dude. Okay. In many videos, and it's literally what I've said it's not.
Joey, do better.
Yeah. So I don't think we live in a computer simulation. Even though, a lot of people seem to want to point us in that direction. And I know that people would say, well, that explains some of the glitches in reality. I don't think that that's what's happening. I don't think it's time travel, because if it was time travel, and of course, I can't tell you how time travel works. Our concept of time travel mostly comes from movies like Back to the Future and stuff like this. But I would think that if it was time travel, then that would, when the new thing would veer off and there wouldn't be evidence of anything being changed, because it would be a new timeline or whatever. There wouldn't be people that would have memories of something in which never existed. And for the same reason, I don't think it's multiple timelines, a multiverse. You want to say something? Go ahead.
No,
Okay, I don't think
I'm
it's.
I'm chomping at the bit. I want to know your tease, man. You're teasing me.
I think it's supernatural.
Okay.
Okay, so whether it's coming from,
But you're
uh,
not like you're not a spiritual guy, you said.
well, I said I've never been religious.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not a Christian or a Jew or any of those things. I've never read the Bible. I've never went to church other than like a year when I was a kid. My parents made me go to Sunday school. We were Protestants. You had Sunday school instead of CCD. That was like my extent of it. But I do believe that, and I know a lot of people in the chat probably won't maybe not resonate with this, but I do believe that this is a created universe, a created realm, and I do feel that a lot of these changes are sent from the creator, maybe to point out what this reality is. That this reality isn't as solid as we thought. There's more to it. There's more fluidity to it. I know a lot of people that do believe it's supernatural, but they think it's the other guy or whatever, the bad side, Satan, whatever you want to call it. Most of those people though are just highly offended by the Bible changes. I'm not offended by them. And I don't really see any of the Mandela effects as really done too much damage to anything or anybody. So I don't really look at it as an evil thing. I look at it as kind of an awakening process to slowly wake us up to the metaphysical aspects of this realm. That's kind of what I feel is happening, what I feel is taking place. What are your thoughts on that?
It seems like it's just kind of a nebulous, fuzzy. God did it
Mm-hmm.
to tell us something.
Yeah.
But in our reality, there are holy books
Mm-hmm.
and quite a few different ones. But the holy books where God has had people write down things.
But see, I don't care really what's written in the books about the supernatural or that. I care about
Yeah.
what I experience and what I see and what my intuition tells me because I don't trust books, especially the most mass produced book that's been, pushed through all the religions and everything. And, there's been a lot of shady things that have gone on down the line. So I don't, and I'm not shooting people down that are all into the Bible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not out here bashing people about their Bible. I don't trust. I don't put trust in it like that.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, people that have a holy book that they prefer don't put faith in other holy books. So there's kind of a small set of people that think all holy books somehow sync together. Those syncretists are weird. Charlie is asking if you've ever read the short story For a Foggy Night.
A Foggy Night. No, I haven't read that.
Okay.
I haven't read that.
All right.
To answer questions earlier, people ask how long has this been going on. I think I should address that. I don't think there was a jumping off point like when it blew up on YouTube. Like for instance, looking at some things and some of these Mandela effects, it seemed that some of them changed a lot earlier. In fact, I experienced my first one in the year 2000. I mean, I didn't know what the Mandela effect was at the time, but that has to do with a famous wrestler that used to be one of my favorite wrestlers. Are you familiar with a guy named Mr. Perfect?
Um, no, and I did like some of the professional wrestling, but no, I can't recall Mr. Perfect.
Okay, well, if Mr. Perfect for me, his name was Kurt Hennig, and he had a father named Larry the Axe Hennig. And one day I think I was playing like a Nintendo 64 game or something at the time, and I seen his name was Hennig, and I was like, wow, it's kind of odd, and it didn't sit with me right, and I kind of didn't really think about it until after I started getting into this topic, 15 years later, and then looking back, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty wild. And what's crazy is that, I was in California a couple months ago, just before I was in Florida, and I'm in a bar, and I get up to go to the bathroom, and I hear this guy go, "Mr. Perfect is my best friend." Now I can't vouch if this guy was really this wrestler's best friend, but what I can tell you is, for a while he was spouting off at the bar all these childhood memories that they had and stuff they did in school and all this. He was at least from his hometown and knew the guy, is what I gathered from it. And on camera, over and over, I had him tell me his best friend's name and spell it for me. And 4 times in a row, he spelled it the way I remembered it. And then when I told him that his friend's name is Hennig and not Henning, the guy, he froze and he thought I was like playing a trick on him. And then I showed him on the phone. I said, look, I'll Google your friend's name right now. Hennig. Then his wife or his girlfriend, I said to her, which I didn't even bring this one up yet. What would you say is the most famous brand of avocados? Begins with an H.
Haas.
Exactly.
I think it's a type, not a brand.
Yeah, well,
Right,
it's
yeah.
well, yeah, you could call it a brand. And Haas Avocados is named after another German guy named Rudolf Haas.
Oh, it's not after David Hasselhoff?
No.
David Hasselhoff?
So here's the funny thing: it's never been Haas Avocados. If you type Haas Avocados, it's gonna spell check you to Haas, Hass, instead of Haas.
Dude,
No.
3 people did the double A. 4 people.
See, look at they're all doing it.
5. 2 A's, yeah.
It's never been
6.
Haas with a double A now. It's Hass.
7. 8.
And what's interesting, so if you go to
I'm gonna search that right now.
Yeah, please do, and I'll stop talking for a second while you look it up. It's gonna spell check you, and it's gonna put H-A-W.
Yep, Hass.
Which also changes his last name. He's no longer Rudolf Haas, which is another German change. But on top of that, remember I talked about physical evidence.
Now I want some guacamole.
If you go to Kroger's right now, or if you go to Walmart, everybody has a Walmart near them. If you go to Walmart, you can test this. I've had people go on video and send them to me. You go to Walmart right now, the Haas avocados, like I said, it's Haas now, like you just saw on Google, right? Hass. So if the avocados have any stickers on them from the company, Hass, any official printed display, Hass, in the POS system of Walmart, it hasn't taken the upgrade yet, and it'll print you a receipt that says HAAS on it. But not only that, look what I have here. I have unchanged.
I can't
original.
see it.
Oh, let me shut my virtual. I'll shut my virtual camera. So I went to. I was looking on a website and I saw they had an image of Haas avocados, HAS frozen avocados. Now I've already known of the change, and Kroger's was displaying it. And I tried to order it. I couldn't get it. Said it wouldn't deliver to me. 2 people I know went to the store on opposite sides of the country, and look what somebody came back with. This shouldn't even exist. Why does this even exist if we're all misremembering?
Because pop culture. Again, memory.
Pop culture made a company make packaging that they put avocados in and print up the packaging and send it to grocery stores?
Yeah, if you were in charge of
come on.
You don't know how design departments. You don't know how design departments work. It's just people, and they don't. And they're designers. I gotta be honest. Like I'm a programmer. I'm a programmer. Those designers, they're terrible. All right.
They exist.
So
who's the author? Who's the author of the Peanuts series? Charlie Brown and all that. Give you his first name, Charles.
Yeah, I live in Minnesota. It's a big deal here.
What's his last name?
Crap.
Oh, Mr. Big Deal.
Crap. No, it is a big deal here. It's not like Prince. I'm supposed to like Prince. I don't like Prince. And that other musician from Minnesota.
So I just want to say I see a lot of people.
Bob Dylan. I don't like Bob Dylan either. Charles Barkley.
So I see a lot of people typing in chat Schultz.
Yes.
And most of the people that I see typing Schultz are moderators on your channel. So they are not people that I sent here to fill it up with any type of Mandela effect stuff, and they're all wrong. Charles M. Schultz has no T in it anymore.
SCHULTZ from Earthrise. Zoomy Tomato got no T. Glober Mom gives a T. Eddie Reese, no T. MB has a T. My goodness, I think the T is winning though. Real Cygnus, gets it with a T. Flanker 420. Facty spelt it with an O instead of a U, but there's the T in it. Mandelbrot got it wrong. Repo Sandman says, I think it has a T.
Never had a T now in this reality.
Yeah, but now a few people are like, it never had a T. Several have said that, so.
Yeah. But also, that's a German name. His patterns, though. German name change. I'm going to give you another German name change with the same pattern. You ever see the movie Big with Tom Hanks?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the toy store in New York City that they were in, where he's doing the whole piano?
Is it FAO Schwartz?
Thank you. Now type FAO Schwartz in your Google and see what happens. Go ahead.
All right. FAOSCHWARZ.
Schwartz, no Schwartz. The T's gone before the Z, just like
because I
Schultz.
pronounced it with the T. Oh, yeah.
And they both ended in a TZ, and neither one of them has the T now. Another German name change, both missing the T before the Z.
Oh, just wait a second. All right. You're right. There's one in Chicago with no T. There's one in New York with no T. There's one in LA with a T. Hold on a second.
You'll have to check that out. Make sure it's not like an off-site review or something. Go to the official site of the LA one, and I'm not aware of the LA one. I was talking about New York. That's the one from the movie, but yeah, I'd be interested to see what you see there in LA.
That's an interesting one. I know if people would. This is the Google individual, like, from Jocelyn Lopez in May 2022. So it's her own typing of it.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the store. If you look at the storefront, and it's related to that other company.
There's a picture of a guitar that's got FAO Schwartz with no T.
Mm.
And the picture of the outside of the store, no T. Now, could that be how we pronounce things? I think that's reasonable. So,
what else?
All right, you've given us a lot of examples. I have a few more questions from the chat here or comments.
Sure.
Citizen 9 says, got to measure all those lambs in sheep units. So, I mean, you may have heard of imperial units, miles, pounds. And you've heard of metric or SI units. But the wave of the future is Scottish sheep units. All measurements are based on sheep. So length is measured in sheep lengths, which is the nose to rump length of a 2-year-old ewe.
Okay.
Weight and mass is based on Kudam, which is how much a ram's jigglers weigh. Anyway, Strunas one says Peter Gabriel left Genesis to work with Syd Barrett. Okay, I don't know Syd Barrett, but I do know that Peter Gabriel left Genesis in my reality. Dan Shire says, what triggers the Mandela effect? Can I cause reality to warp simply by questioning pop culture? Or does it take more than that? And is there more? And is there a way to track when it has occurred?
Oh, yeah, you can. So, like, just like with many things, so, like, you could obviously see when things are, brought up and addressed at certain time periods. You can kind of look and kind of sometimes nail down a time frame of when you think something might have changed based on that. But it's not like you can really get a hard date on when something might have changed.
And that goes back to the unfalsifiability of it. It's difficult to actually do research on. Tim Collins says dilemma was spelled dilemna till the 90s. Just Googled it. Spell checking from computers changed it.
No, so if that was the case, somebody would be able to pull out a dictionary that predates the 90s and show me dilemma with a silent N in the word. Nobody's going to be able to do that. Well, and I know people can think, well, Brian, that's not true. But you can come back after this show tonight, and if you have it, I'll gladly show that on the air. Definitely send me a pic of it.
Yep, Q57 is wondering why I don't know Syd Barrett. Apparently Sid Barrett is from Pink Floyd. That would be why. While I do appreciate Pink Floyd's music, I could not name any of the members of Pink Floyd other than Mr. Floyd himself, who I know is not in the band. Just like Leonard Skinner is not a member of the band Leonard Skinner either. It was their gym teacher. All right, Tim Collins, let's get the dictionary. Prove him wrong, Tim. I don't know. I have no.
Send in an image from the dictionary. Yeah.
Janusz Tacos. It's Janusz, I think. I always get it wrong because he's from Hungary, I believe. And he's helped me a lot. He's been involved in the transcontinental triangulation, the American arc of the parallel data entry. Oh, it's so good. So good. Janusz, Mr. Tacos, says Ezra 48:4, and the border of Naphtali, from the east side unto the west side, a portion for Manasseh. Bugger alley, this for lark. I am sick to my heart of type fitting. What the hell was that, Janusz? I think he got like part way, and then he changed it to ye olde English for saying I'm tired of typing. I love that. Shovelhead Steve says they didn't change them all on the same day.
What is he talking about?
I don't know. Dilemma maybe.
And hey, another one that I covered real quick.
Lamb and Lion. That might have been.
If you guys are familiar with college football at all, I don't know if you're into sports at all.
Ultimate Frisbee. That's it.
Okay, so there might be some people in the chat though. The award for basically the MVP of college football in America is called the Heisman Trophy. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I've heard of that.
Okay, are you familiar with the Heisman pose or no? Probably not.
Oh yeah, I have a rough idea in my head. Like he's holding the ball and his hand is down, leg is up.
Can you do it for us? Stand up and do it. Come on, man. Let's have some fun.
Let's see you do it.
Well, you said you had the ball, right? And you're
ball,
right.
Leg up, hand down.
Leg up, and he has a hand like this. This is what I remember. Let me back up a little. Leg up, hand like this, and the ball. Now, the Heisman has both feet on the ground, and the hand is forward like this, like a stop sign. The actual trophy, yet everybody that's ever posed for it and still are posing like this.
Huh. All right, I got proofed.com says spelling tips dilemma or dilemna.
Mm-hmm.
Only one of the spellings is correct.
Yep, like this now, guys. The Heisman Trophy is like this now, yet everybody is still doing it like this, including last year. They did commercials called the Heisman House.
That looks like the nay-nay. Can you do the nay-nay?
What's the nay-nay? It sounds pretty feminine.
It's a dance meme from a few years ago.
Yeah. So can I answer a question in the chat? I think it's important. Many Karen says, is this guy even aware there's a world plus culture beyond the U.S.? Absolutely. And there's people in these other countries covering changes that are local to them. But of course, I'm not familiar with those changes. But if you speak those other languages, by all means, go and watch their channels. It's huge in Spanish languages, Russian languages. There's people covering changes in other countries. I know some, very few, there are brands local to other countries that people have presented on my shows. But of course, it doesn't resonate with me because I'm not from there. But of course, I recognize that.
The very source of this, and maybe so people can understand, why is it called the Mandela effect?
Okay, so they call it the Mandela effect. And again, this is one that doesn't resonate with me at all. I just want to say that. So everybody that talks about the Mandela effect doesn't believe in the whole Nelson Mandela story. So that's what it is. So basically, allegedly in 2009, this person named Fiona Broome, who, by the way, I'm very active with the Mandela effect. I know a lot of people, obviously. Nobody I know has ever spoken to this character, okay? So in 2009, this person called Fiona Broom supposedly pulled a bunch of people in a room when they saw on TV that Nelson Mandela was alive because they all thought he had died in like the early 90s or something. So then they supposedly they called this the Mandela effect based off of that. But in reality, most people I know don't even talk about that. But that is where it got its name from. I just think it's a crappy name, and it doesn't. It's a big turnoff for people too. Like at first, my mom didn't even want to look at this topic because of her feelings of Nelson Mandela and who he was. I'm like, it doesn't have anything to do with Nelson Mandela.
So,
but that's where the name.
The point is, and I'm sure you know this. This won't be a news to you, but so people in, I don't know, outside of America, but certainly in America, thought that there was an event where Nelson Mandela died in South Africa. It was actually when he got out of prison, and he later went on to be, was he president of South Africa after that, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then he died in like 2013.
Then he actually died sometime later. But people in South Africa don't have this same memory like we do. Of course, they were there, right?
Well, when we say we do, you remember him dying in prison?
No,
oh, okay.
I'm with you. Like it never was something for me.
Yeah, it never resonated with me.
This is again, this is probably, I'm tainted on this. My memory of Nelson Mandela in the 80s is a video of him in a parade walking like in the front, like he's walking in the parade of people. So yeah, that's my memory of it. So obviously it couldn't have been him that died in my memory. But like I said, I think that my memory of Nelson Mandela in the 80s getting out of prison is because of the Mandela effect claims. So, all right, man, I still have a few more here. If you don't mind. PhD Tony. PhD Tony is...
listen, I want to be upfront and I want to answer everything. And just remember, I want to say one thing. You can disagree with me on this. You can think it's stupid. You can think that you might have different memories on some of these. But one thing you won't find that I'm a liar. Like if I claim that, hey, this thing has never been this, go look. If you go look, you'll see that it is what I'm claiming, whether you agree with it or not. Like you're not going to say, oh, Brian said that this is a Mandela effect. And look, this is a brand change. I mean, I challenge you to check on any of them. So go ahead, continue.
All right. PT Tony says, so given a choice between my memory isn't as good as I thought and randomly fitting between multiverses, it's definitely the latter.
I don't believe in the multiverse. I think we're in one reality that's fluid. I don't think maybe it's false memory.
Substitute instead of multiverse your suggestion of what the Mandela effect is. I don't think he's
if there were like 5 or 10 changes, right, and for me to go to the conclusion that reality is changing, I get it. That'd be a big leap, right? But I've experienced hundreds and hundreds, and so have so many other people, that I've come in contact with, where for me to think that we're all misremembering for the most part the exact same things in the exact same way. But hey, by the way, here's a whole bunch of physical evidence that actually corroborates exactly with what our memories say. That's more logical to me, that maybe I don't understand what this reality is and something is happening here and it's not my memory. I trust my memory, man. I know it's not perfect. But on some of these things, and if I'm wishy-washy on something, I'm not going to call it a Mandela effect. And for people that say, oh, there's so much out there, there's bad Mandela effects. I saw one of your mods earlier, actually, and I appreciate typing some Mandela effects in there, but a couple of them were bad effects. Cup of noodles, it's not a Mandela effect. That's a brand change. So I'm telling you of ones that are fake Mandela effects.
Okay.
Cup of noodles, you can look and find the documentation when it went from cup o noodles to cup noodles. And so there's a few. And
they took the O out.
Yeah, so there's people that put out bad videos for any topic, but I will say me and a couple people have been working on a concise list of what I consider slam dunks with good evidence. It's under 200 of them that I have on the list, and it will be up soon. I'm going to be done with it probably in a few weeks.
Where are you going to publish this?
I'll publish it on my website. Website, yeah.
What's your website? What's your website?
So Dose of Reality Show is the name of my show. So doseofrealityshow.com, and it'll be on there.
There it is. All right. Tell you, Brian, I'm not on, I'm not buying the Mandela effect stuff, but I absolutely think this is a much more reasonable type thing. Not reasonable. I don't know. I'd prefer people going for Mandela effect than people thinking Earth is flat. I think it's more of an interesting thing than what I think flat Earth is. So anyway, that's why I'm having fun. I like this, and it's a good talk. So
I'm having fun too, dude, and I appreciate it. And you know what? I don't usually come on shows with people that aren't vibing with it, and I know I'm going to walk into your chat, and most of the people aren't going to vibe with it, but there are some that are, and I know that even there might be the smallest percentage, but if even 1% of the people that are here today, 5 people, go and check out my channel, and that's cool, right? That's cool. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Sweet Potato has the super chat for $5, but there's no message. I wonder if it was retracted by.
Oh, and when I made a video and showed you with the Monopoly Man, right? Who would I be to refuse an invitation on your show after I pointed you out in the video being Mandela effect? And I'd be a coward if I wouldn't come on and talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so. Unless you were a dick, but you're not a dick to me, so I don't mind coming on,
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
On my tombstone.
Not a dick?
Not a dick.
Put not a dick on your tombstone?
Just that. That's all I need.
A little strange, but not a dick.
You'd be like, wait a second. Now I'm missing some context. All right. Let me see here. I want to make sure I don't miss this one from Mr. Sweet Potato.
Ultimately, what I think is more important than anything in any of these topics is being a good person, and you don't have to personally dislike people because you have different beliefs. And I think that you understand that. So, and I know there's a lot of back and forth between the groups, and Globey's this, Flirt's that, Truth is this and that. These people are idiots, but you can still have a respectful conversation with people and be a grown up about it. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I Sweet Potato, if you had a message, it did not come through. So sorry for that. All right. PhD Tony, Multiverse where Bon Jovi were good. We got String News 1 says, what's the frequency, Kenneth? Who's Kenneth?
Don't know.
That's from an REM album.
I'm sorry, man.
Come on. You're talking I know, I understand. Bon Jovi is your favorite band of all time. But you talked about Nirvana. So somewhere between Bon Jovi and Nirvana, you have to get REM.
REM's cool for some of their songs. I wasn't so much into it, though.
You totally let that slip. I accused you of having Bon Jovi being your favorite band. And
dude, Bon Jovi was one of my... Yeah. Oh, hey, I don't need to lie about it. It's cool, dude. I thought Bon Jovi was cool. You know who else was one of my favorite groups? A group called Belle Biv DeVoe. You ever heard of them?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so they were famous for a song Poison. Their name changed. Their name was Bell, Biv, Devoe. Belle Biv DeVoe. There were 2 3-letter words to start it, and then DeVoe. Okay. Bell is now Bell with 2 L's, like the word bell in the English language.
Oh.
Yep.
All right.
I heard a video that you did recently. I have a clip. I'm going to show it on my next show. Just residue of you making fun of somebody in a debate or something. You kept telling him to pull up his Depends over and over. You said it like 3 different times.
Pull up his Depends. Who was I talking to?
I don't know. I could actually get the clip, but I could just get the clip and show you who it is.
Usually when I talk about Depends, 2 times that I can think of, I've talked about Dubé, that he blocks me everywhere that I challenge him to debate because it saves on his Depends bill. And one time I referred to Oakley and also said that it saves on Depends.
Oh, it was the 33 guy.
Oh! I don't remember saying that to him, but oh my gosh. That guy
in this video.
Absolutely toxic.
In this video, 3 times you told him to pull up his depends. That's another change too. And this isn't one I try to convince anyone on because it's kind of just a letter, you know. But depends have always been depend now. Interesting. It's not never been depends.
All right. I'll give you that. Eddie Reese says, when I worked at Disney World, I loaded Bon Jovi and his family onto Toy Story Midway Mania.
Bon Jovi and
that's a story there.
Speaking
Eddie
of
Reese, thank you
Disney,
for that.
we mentioned some Disney earlier, lots of Disney changes. Here's one that's pretty big. So remember the Snow White movie we talked about, the animated movie, and a lot of other movies came out around that time. You know, all the classics we had on the VHS, glossy looking cases, you know.
Those
Those
all
always
beta,
started-
all beta for me.
Do you remember the iconic intro that was, do you remember what the intro looked like before every movie was the same
For Disney?
Disney back in the day, yeah?
Oh,
What did
you mean the castle with Tinkerbell flying around?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Now you could pull out any copy of any of those Disney movies, and Tinkerbell is not in that intro.
Not
She
doing
never
the arc over the.
Exactly. I'm so glad you
She's
explained
never
the
done
arc.
that.
Never done that in any of those Disney movies. There is one off TV Disney special where she did something kind of similar once, but it's totally different. It's not the going in on the castle. She goes over the top in the arc, and she does this just like you were starting to explain.
Yeah.
It's completely gone. It's completely gone from all of
Dang
them.
it, Brian!
on top of
you're
that-
messing.
on
Stop
top-
messing with me, Brian.
On top of that, Tinkerbell's name changed, and it's now 2 words. It's Tinker space Bell. It's no longer Tinker Bell.
Now was all right. Was it not ever in there, or was it after a certain point it was added?
No. Now it's Mandela affected and gone. It's not never been there.
It's never been there. There's no video of Tinkerbell flying over the castle.
No video of Tinkerbell flying over
Is-
the castle from that intro. There's one special on TV that has something kind of like it with Tinkerbell in the castle, but it's not the same thing. It's completely different angle. It's more bluish looking, and it was just one TV special. It's not what was on all those movies, and it's completely gone.
Wow.
You described it, dude. You
Oh,
were
yeah.
describing the arc over the castle. It's
There's-
not there,
yeah.
dude.
There in my memory, there's an arc, and in my memory, it was Tinkerbell that caused the arc, and I can see the pixie dust falling from the arc.
Somebody wrote Tinkerbell Biv DeVoe. That's good. So I know
my
they
God.
say they have changed the intro over the years, and I understand that. But and I appreciate the skepticism and everything. You have to ask all these questions. But if they just changed the intro over the years, we could easily pull out old copies
Yeah.
and show, hey, here's an old one that has it, and now it doesn't have it, and it's been changed. But I challenge anybody. They won't be able to pull that out, just like they can't pull out a Bible that says Lion and the Lamb. It's going to say the wolf no matter what version.
Yeah.
All the Disney movies that have that intro, it's changed.
All right, so like I said, Lion and the Lamb is a phrase that people say a lot. So
Mhm.
I get that, but I gotta say, it's super clear. My memory of the arc being caused by Tinkerbell and the
Yeah, cool.
oh yeah, and you just thought you saw Tink. She was never actually shown. So true, it would have been small, so there would have been an arc that where you didn't see Tinkerbell actually in it, but then she comes up on screen implying that it was her.
Well, I remember her actually hitting the wand at the end of the arc, too. The arc, and then the wand, and then more sparkles would come out.
Dang it. What the hell are you doing to me, man? All right, Mr. Sweet Potato says, can you ask him if the Talking Heads song Once in a Lifetime is about the Mandela effect?
Ooh, I don't know about that one. I'll have to check it out. You know, it's a pretty cool movie first of all, the Mandela Effect movie that came out is just awful. But there's a movie called Yesterday. Have you heard about that one? That's a pretty cool movie. It's kind of like Mandela Effect-ish. There's a guy, I think you guys would like it, even if you're really not into this, it's a cool movie. He, some sort of thing happens, he gets hit by a bus, and all the power in the world goes out, and he wakes up in a coma, and he's in a hospital. But when he wakes up, the Beatles have never existed, and a few other things like Coca-Cola and a couple other things. So he goes off his memory and he rewrites all the Beatles music as if he's writing it for the first time, and he starts touring the world and he's playing the Beatles music and he's like the man. It's pretty cool, dude.
That's like Lost, where they go back in time and then it's Hurley. What's the guy? He's writing Empire Strikes Back because he's like,
oh, really?
It's the same time as when it was being filmed, so I'm writing it the right way.
Yeah, no, it's a cool movie, man, and this is some cool. There's a cool
all right,
show
so we have a few people saying that they've found some Disney clips. So all right, send it to Brian.
Yeah,
the one that I described. Please, I'm begging you, people, send it to him so he can do a video. He could. Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 minute. I'll be quick.
You don't need to ask my permission. He's an adult. He can go when he wants. Just not on stream, please. Many Karen says, I'm living on a prayer this will end soon. Oh my gosh. PJCnet says Mandela is plausible, but currently can't be proven because there's other explanations. I believe there's a lot more to understand about time, however. PJ, you're cute. You're cute. Anyway, Tim Collins says Googled Apollo 13, edited late 2000s to fix it. All right. So are there versions earlier than the late 2000s that are available that have it the different way? That's a good question. I'll ask when he gets back. Binge Thinker says, who or what is causing this effect and why? And Brian's answer is God is just kind of a broad, generic God. He doesn't have any particular religion. He seems to follow very closely. The people that say it's CERN are just insane. They don't know anything about what CERN is doing, obviously.
Well,
that's not.
The people that say it's CERN too is usually people just getting into it too, And I know there's some people in chat and even some friends of mine maybe that are in there that do believe that. And that's cool. Like my theory isn't better than anybody else's, but mostly it's the new people coming in that believe it's CERN, and most of the people around me don't think that it's that. But I understand where you think my theory could be kind of vague or whatever. I get it.
All right, dang it. All right, King Cruz sent me a video that's a Disney intro with Tinkerbell, and then in parentheses, fan made.
Exactly.
That doesn't help.
That's not proof of anything.
I want to see. Look. I want something here. Dang it. I mean, I'm still not going with it, but anyway. Tim Collins says he Googled Apollo 13, and it says that they edited it in the late 2000s to fix it.
To fix what?
What they said in Apollo 13.
I'd like to see that.
That they brought it into sync. So, all right, Tim. Tim, is your email address in your channel description?
Yeah. So if you go to my channel,
okay.
Yeah, it's in the about. If you hit the about section on my channel, the email.
People, Brian is open. If you have something, fan made stuff, isn't it? And stuff post the confluence.
Oh, if you think you've debunked any of these and something exists that I say didn't, I will absolutely show it on the air, because I don't want to put anything out there that's not a legit change. Like, again, like I said, you could say nothing's changing. You could disagree with most of the ones I said, but you won't find that, hey, Brian said this has changed and it's really just this, or there's another version of this and different translation of the Bible. I'm very careful about that.
Oh my. Somebody sent a Disney, this is very old, with Tinkerbell.
Okay, so that one that he's talking about, the Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color Sunday Nights, that is the one I was telling you about.
1961
That's the TV
opening.
special. But watch that and you'll see it's not exactly what you remember from the intro of the movie.
So far it's not. Yeah. I mean, Tinkerbell was in it. Comes in and does her wand over the thing, but there's no arch yet.
No, it's a totally different thing.
That's no art. Darn it. Repo Sandman, you tease.
I knew exactly what clip it was. That's the one I was talking about. I just didn't remember.
Brian has done his homework, guys. You're gonna have to. He's not. Brian, every week, some flat earther that doesn't know his stuff comes on and says things that we've all heard before, and so they're used to it's often low hanging fruit. So Brian, this is not low hanging fruit. Mr. Unite for the Chill Win says supercalifragilisticexpialidocious used to be spelled supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but with an IUS instead of IOUS. I think that's satire. Yeah. Some old dude said, again, your kidneys are below your rib cage, period. So, all right. So after you mentioned that, a bunch of people obviously were looking it up. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people said, no, I just looked it up. Kidneys below your rib cage. Some people wondered if maybe you were Adam and had not yet had your ribs removed to go to Eve. But anyway, maybe double check that one.
Okay.
King Crew says shipping money for my book. It's Barrett. I can't get to it. I owe him a book. It's a book on gravity. Oh my gosh. Brianna Johnson. So if you don't know the history between Brianna Johnson and Sam is Sound of Music, a flat earther from Africa, near South Africa. Super funny guy. Really like Sam. Brianna teases him. Brianna Johnson says, if you stroke it, Sam will come. Anyone fancy pie? So, by the way, happy Pie Day, everybody. March 14, 3.14.
I love apple pie. What would you say is like the most well-known type of apple? Red apple begins with an M. It's one of the most well-known.
Yeah, Macintosh.
Spell it.
MCINTOSH.
Okay. That is what it is. I remember it as Macintosh, MAC.
And that's because of the computer. The computer spelled it wrong. When Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak formed the company, they spelled it differently.
So another Disney
movie. Not the company. The Apple was the company. The Macintosh was the product later. So
take a look at this. So another one that changed for me. It's a spelling change, and it's a Disney movie, and that's 101 Dalmatians. And I remember 101 Dalmatians, Dalmatian being spelled ending in T-I-O-N-S, Dalmatians, T-I-O-N-O-S. Now it's T-I-A-N-S. Now look at this. This is a piece of residue that I picked up. Let me shut my virtual camera off. Sorry about that. I'm getting a background soon too, so I won't use this dumb virtual crap.
The green.
Yeah. This is how I remember the word Dalmatian spelled. That's obviously how the puzzle maker.
But can you move to the side a little more? I don't have you full screen, so yeah. There you go. T-I-O-N.
Yeah, that's how I remember the word Dalmatian. And that's how I remember 101 Dalmatians spelled.
The movie, yeah.
But it's not just, but not only this. So the actual dog breed, the breed of the dog now as well, is with an A, not an O. It's with an A. Dalmatian, D-A-L-M-A-T-I-A-N. Okay, and what's interesting is not only do I have this puzzle that, in this reality would be spelled the wrong way, there's a whole bunch of dog breeders all over America that breed Dalmatians, and on their websites...
They spell it wrong?
They spell it with an O, the way I remember it.
Now, I'm going to go with this one most of the time when it's that particular sound at the end of the word, it's T-I-O-N. And it's rare that it's T-I-A-N. I think that's an easy one. That's an easy one, right?
So. Yeah, that could happen. There's a geography one that is in California. A lot of people might be familiar with this city, actually. And it's Fillmore, California. There's been a lot of music shows and stuff there. Now, I'm not from California, but I visit a friend out there a lot. And when I was out there, Fillmore, California used to be, for many, many people, Fillmore. Filmore. Now Fillmore, California is Fillmore. And again, when I was made aware of this change, what I did is I went to all the local businesses in Fillmore that I could find, every different type of business you could imagine. And in their own text, in the, on their websites, in the about sections or whatever, or where they're writing their address and all that, like 20 different companies in that city all had it spelled with one L still.
Well, and Tim Collins, good point from this. It says, okay, I just found tons of words that were changed to unify them through computers in the 2000s due to spelling being different in different regions, depending on region. Yeah, can you believe it that some people in England still spell color with a superfluous U?
Well, and let me talk about that. Like, I recognize that goes on color, favor, neighbor. They all spell it different. People like, oh, it's just an English UK thing. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Oh, here's one that people might resonate with. So they might not, but there used to be a word, a lot. You could type the word a lot. Of course, you can put two words, a lot, but four-letter word, ALOT. That word no longer exists. If you typed a lot, ALOT, you'll get underlined with a red line and spell checked, and it'll separate it into two words. There used to be an option to spell that as one word. I clearly remember that.
Yeah, I don't. That one doesn't hit me. Tim, let's see. A Semel Dude says P&G was founded in 1837 by brothers-in-law William Proctor with an E, and Candlemaker, a candlemaker, and James Gamble, a soap maker.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it's with an E now, and of course that's what it's going to say when you look it up. But it was definitely Proctor with an OR.
Yeah, people's memory of it. Chronic Avenger, how many of these do you remember from the actual source, or what was repeated over the years? So that's again going to the pre-confluent. Is this a term? Am I just making this up?
I would love to address that. It's a fair point that you bring up, of course. But let me tell you this. So we talked about parodies like Ed McMahon, doing a parody of himself, bringing a check to a door, other people dressing up as him. Stuff like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I talked about the song, used to be a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now it's this neighborhood. But if you look up all these skits, right, on all these different shows and people that sing it and cover it, they all sing it the way that I remember it. But you know what? I never went and saw almost any of those parodies or anything until I was told it was changed, and then I went to look for evidence. I remember Mr. Rogers from watching Mr. Rogers, not from watching people do spoofs on it.
That's true for Mr. Rogers, for sure. That's different than like the monocle, because people have dressed up with it, repeated the mistake. But yeah, you can just watch Mr. Rogers. So what did Mr. Rogers actually say?
A beautiful day in this neighborhood now is what he says.
Yeah, all right.
And yeah.
Andreas Eld says, could it probably, perhaps, maybe be bad memory?
No, I think we're way past that point. I have some patents if I could get a screen share from Procter & Gamble.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
So U.S. patent 3601039, and this was in 1968. It was filed, patented in 1971. The Procter and Gamble Company
with an O,
with an OR, not an ER. Now, what's really interesting, check this out. So I have some older ones, but there's one. This is why I say sometimes you can almost nail down the change. Look at this patent right here. This one they applied under OR. Right? But then by the time it was assigned, it went to Proctor with an ER. Has both spellings on one patent.
Well, all right. So that doesn't jive with like residue, does it? Because wouldn't both be the same, either changed or unchanged?
Well, there's a time space from when you filed the patent and when it comes out. And I'm postulating that around 2013 is when that thing changed as this thing was being processed. But why do these exist? Look at this. This is pretty good. This is pretty good physical evidence.
In your timeline, like you have a timeline for when the event happened.
Just this one. I mean, most I don't, but this one, I mean, it seems like that's what's taking place.
That's crazy.
Look at Procter and Gamble, 1995. Look at every single patent from
With an O.
Procter and Gamble. By the way, listen, and every single one from them that I have, which I have a whole folder, every single one that's before 2013, they're all with an OR. Anything that's after 2014, they're all with an ER. And the one I showed you that was mixed because that was like right on that 2013, 2014. Why would they be misspelled, and why does this match the memory of what the Mandela effect people?
All right, so yeah, and it would have to be, if the Mandela effect doesn't exist, it would have to be people working for Procter & Gamble misspelling the name of the company when they applied for the patent, or the patent lawyer who did the work.
Gets to be a little insane. There's nothing happening, in my opinion. Whole lot of people in all different places misremembering the same thing in unison. It gets a little fishy.
Does the question, does Mr. Snuffleupagus actually exist?
I don't know, but these patents exist that corroborate what the Mandela effect people remember. And I could do this all day, but continue reading the question.
All right. Many Karen says psychology studies memories, and the way we know it's constructed explains this. Anyone interested can look up the work done by Elizabeth Loftus. There you go. Have you read on that? The psychological.
Say again. I'm sorry.
Elizabeth Loftus. I'll tell you what. I'll send this to you. I mean, you probably want to. Know this, right?
I think she did a hit piece on the Mandela effect. Actually, now that you mention her name, if I might be mixing it up with somebody else.
Right.
So.
PhD Tony. All right, he's a tough guy, tough crowd. But PhD Tony, Brian has caught me on a bunch of things here. So this comment goes to me too. Says, can your guest take us through his history of head injuries and or use of psychoactive substances?
I was whacked in the head with a red lightsaber once, and I fucking survived. And here I am, the Jedi Master that I am.
Pylo 1408 has a message retracted. Whoa, so mysterious.
Oh,
so mysterious. Oh my gosh, the people are messaging people in Discord. Send it to Brian. I got a bunch of people sending me things.
Anybody. You guys can send me whatever, and I'll look at it. I'll look at it, and if it listen, I don't want to get something wrong, and there's enough things that, in my opinion, have changed. If there's mistakes made, and there have been, like I told you, people. I didn't do a cup of noodles video, but I told you about ones that are bad effects. If you point out one, I'll definitely address it. But I have looked thoroughly before I call something a reality shift. You're not going to find it's just a company or a logo or brand change for something that I present. But
okay.
By all means, Ricefoot at Gmail. Ricefoot.
All right, so Pylo. All right, Pylo 1408. I got it, even though it was retracted. I have magic. I have magical stuff I can do. Says, so this guy thinks his inability to remember things is proof the universe is wrong instead of him.
I would say no, not just my inability. I would say, because here's my thing. I should have said this earlier. I believe everybody is affected by a slew of these. Not all, obviously, you're not affected by all of them, but there are at least a dozen here that, I got a pretty good reaction out of you or memory of the way they used to be. And that would go for everybody. And not everybody's going to admit it, but definitely everybody in the chat has been affected by at least a handful of these. And what they're probably thinking is, okay, that's weird, but now I know there's an explanation for it. So go and try and find the reasonable explanation. Go and try and find how that thing is not a Mandela effect. It's just a change type of thing. And you're going to come back empty-handed time and time again. And I'll be here when you're ready to talk about it. And I have contact. Come check it out. You guys are always welcome to call in, too. I do live calls all the time.
All right. Cretan Ball says, Minnesota musicians. Do you like Bob Mould, who is in Husker Du and Sugar, apparently? And Husker Du, if I remember correctly, it's D-U and the U has umlauts. I know of the band Husker Du. I never was. I couldn't name a single song, so no. Yes, I do know that they're a Minnesota band, but no, I never listened. Some old dude. This is a good point, Brian.
Okay. Yeah.
Says, look, Germans pronounce a Z as a TS. So that was Schultz, right?
Okay. And
Charles Schultz.
sure. Sure. My rebuttal to that would be, though, I don't know Charles Schultz so much from hearing his name. I know Charles Schultz from visually looking at the name written at the bottom of the Peanuts thing, and it always had a T visually for me. The pronunciation isn't even what really was at the top of the list.
All right. And Pilo has another retracted message, but oh yeah. No need to respond to this. You already did. This guy must freak out every time companies change their branding, and he already addressed it. So, and that's probably why. Maybe that's why he retracted it.
And I'll address it again. That's not what this is, and I challenge you to any of my videos come back and show me how it was a company change.
He retracted it, so I think he's. I'll assume that he's from that. Flanker 420 says, "What would convince Brian he's wrong?"
What would convince me I'm wrong? That's almost like asking me what would convince you you're wrong about living on a globe. I mean, it's way past that point for you, right?
No. Evidence. Measurements of flatness, celestial navigation that works on flat Earth, distance calculations over the surface.
So I guess
that match flight paths that would match.
So
maps.
I guess I would need some sort of, and I don't know how, I would need some sort of proof that our memories could all be faulty, but in unison and on so many things, down for detail to detail. And how would that be accomplished? I don't know, but I mean, I would need something that would show that.
Because there maybe is a way. Maybe this is not on the other side of science. Could you manufacture, that might be difficult, a situation where I might even do it anyway. I'll get to this in a second, where you have a group of people and you show them something so that they have a memory, and then introduce something into the culture of this group where that memory is contradicted by statements or ideas or imagery or something that contradicts the other one, and then test them afterward to see that. So this could be tested. And I do this sometimes when I'm debating with flat earthers and they talk about the Van what radiation belts.
Yeah.
I intentionally say the Van Halen radiation belts.
Oh, that's, anybody that's repeating the half use.
And I say it over and over as just as like a little game to get them to repeat it to me. And about half the time I get them to start saying Van Halen.
But you're introducing, planting something.
I am, yeah. Absolutely. And so my question is,
you're doing it in a controlled group. No, but hold on. Let me add to it.
Okay.
Let's just say you took 10 people in the group and you kept saying Van Halen belts to them and they all repeated Van Halen. But if you were to go outside of your group and then walk around into that grocery store that I talked about and ask everybody in the grocery store what's the name of them, and if they knew an answer either way, nobody's going to say Van Halen. It's only because you did it to a small group of people. But in reality, the Mandela effect would be everybody.
My point is, now in my little contrived thing that I do is, for joking, but in the idea of a study, then that you could then after at the end of the study say, look, what is your memory of the original?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a way to test it. So it'd be interesting. All right.
No, I'd have to think about that a little more, but
yeah, like write down a way that you could do it without, to have a group of 1,000 people in a culture for a month wouldn't be possible. Could you do it in a day?
What are you talking to
people?
Introducing them? Like, because if you're just doing it in a day, this is just one memory from a day that you're giving them. Now we're getting into the where did I put my car keys, as opposed to something that you repeated growing up and you've seen several times and there's other memories associated with it. I think it's quite a bit different.
Well, anyway, some way maybe this could be tested. Janusz, Mr. Tacos, I'm gonna change it. If you change it on here to Janusz Tacos, I'd love it. I don't want to. I can't. I've tried to say your last name right, and I get it wrong. So I'm sorry. Janusz says it's as I remember. This is Ezekiel 48, but turns out I was Mangood. Hold on, Mangood Mensala affected, and it's just from the Terry Pratchett book. Terry Pratchett's a sci-fi writer.
Another reference I don't get. Sorry, I'm not trying to like shoot down the jokes or anything. Okay. If they're funny, I'll laugh, but I don't get some of the references you guys are throwing out. So.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett wrote some sci-fi books. So Shovelhead Steve says yield signs, and you covered that already.
Yeah,
people yield thought they're yellow, and you say they're red. So.
And they are not. They haven't been yellow since 1971 in the United States, which is before I was even born. Never mind, before I got my license. And I totally remember that they were yellow.
Barry F says I would believe the many worlds concept before I would a flat Earth. So many worlds is a explanation for some quantum. Quantum.
And there's a lot of effects. People, there's a lot of people in the Mandela effect that, have these other theories. This is kind of where I'm at, but a lot of people believe in different timelines and came from a different Earth and different part of the galaxy and all these different ideas.
Oh, all right. Leslie Rohrer says, how does James Brolin's wife spell her name?
Don't know who that is either. Sorry.
I'm really bad. I gotta look up his he's an actor.
So I saw somebody, just type a super chat. I don't mean to skip ahead, but I want to mention it because, they talk about, I'll never admit that this might not be going on because it's unfalsifiable or whatever. There's some of the stuff that is so big and we didn't get to it really at all. But I had a huge personal change, and literally the name of the neighborhood that I was living in before I moved to North Carolina changed. And it's a neighborhood that I've always known because it's the city I grew up in, and I never moved out of there until 3 years ago. And it was a place called Centerville, a neighborhood in Lowell, Massachusetts. And Centerville all of a sudden changed to Centralville, and it goes all the way back. And I documented this very much so on my channel with a series of videos, including calling City Hall, including calling every business in that neighborhood, including one that was called the Centerville Social Club, but changed to Centralville. I called them. Lady freaked out when I told her about the name change. I called every cab company, Uber drivers I talked to. Everybody remembers it as Centerville. But now it's always been Centralville in this reality. Personal neighborhood change. And I know, of course, people that are already skeptical of this, they're just like, this is even really, really crazy. But if you're interested in that type of personal thing, when you get to my channel, just scroll down and you'll see the Centerville effect at the bottom. Personal Mandela effect change to do with my neighborhood. One more point on that. So it's never been Centerville, right? We're told it's always been Centralville. The people have not taken what we call the update. Nobody is calling it Centralville now, and it's been 4 years. They live in a neighborhood. They're calling it the wrong name, and they just built a dog park. The city of Lowell built a dog park in the Centralville neighborhood, and they called the dog park the Centerville Dog Park.
Obviously, yeah, there's some momentum, huh? All right, I found out who James Brolin's wife is. She's a singer. She has a large property on the West Coast that she did not want people to see the size of her house. First name is Barbara. How does she spell her last name?
Who?
She's a singer.
Yeah.
She has a giant house, and somebody posted a picture of it, and then she didn't want people to see it.
The Barbara Streisand?
Yeah, so how do you spell... Yeah, that's right. I didn't want to say it. How do you spell her last name?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, so if I get this wrong, I'm bad with celebrities, but I would say it's probably Strei or Iessand? Streisand?
Yeah,
I don't know.
EI, one S. But I think the idea is that people misspell her last name, that they put a T in there or something. But it's Barbara Streisand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. Yeah, it's the Streisand effect. You try to make something go away and everybody posts it.
Who's the famous pastor? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There's we There's a lot.
No, keep
Let
going.
me catch up here. Yanish says, switch your VPN to British and watch the Good Omens series. David Tennant plays Aziraphale. I haven't. Good Omens is from Terry Pratchett, apparently, and David Tennant plays a character in it. Now, David Tennant, you will know, is one of the doctors. You know who I'm talking about? The Doctor?
No.
The correct answer is Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played one of the Doctors, Doctor Who. All right, that's a good one. The Good Omens series. Cretan Bull says, when I was a kid, the Mandela effect was called the Desmond Tutu effect. And what we now call Lake Ontario used to be called Lake Titicaca.
You guys love that Titicaca shit, huh?
Well, a lot of us like the first part of it. Look, remember how old am I?
13.
That's right. How can you not laugh? How can you not
Now I'm
titter
getting
like
a little nervous.
schoolgirl?
You got me over here on a live stream talking to a child. I'm getting a little nervous.
I only play a child on YouTube.
You got the toys behind you. I mean,
dude, Lego does not make these for children. These are made for adults. Absolutely. Both of these were gifts from my kids to me. I bought this one. This is a globe. I bought this one myself.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
And then also this one over here. It's right off screen for everybody at home, but they've hopefully seen it. The Saturn V Lego. It doesn't probably look like Lego from where you're at, but it is. And then I don't know. The people at home can't see it, but on the wall over there, one of my kids made a Lego thing that says he spelled out Toon in Legos. Actually, MC Toon on Legos. All right. Mikey Riot says place names change over time with language. Interesting but normal. A road I like to drive can be seen as Snake Pass and Snake's Pass with an apostrophe S on the same map. Is that Mandela effect, you think?
No. So if there's a geography change, it'll change on all the maps. Here's an interesting one that people might be familiar with, the geography change. And just the name. JFK, you know who JFK is, obviously. He had
I've heard rumors.
Yeah, he had a getaway home or a place he would go on vacation in Massachusetts, called the city is called Hyannisport. Hyannisport is now 2 words, and it was always 1 word. And if you go back and look at any map that shows Hyannisport in Massachusetts, you'll see it as 2 words.
I have no. Yeah, I've been out town, east just a couple times, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Dr. Nimrod says, have you tried quiet firing Rediosil's Rock of Ages? Quiet firing Rediosil's Rock of Ages. I have not tried that. I don't know what that is. Quiet fire. I'm gonna see if quiet firing and quiet firing would be to fire somebody without. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I think quiet firing is getting rid of somebody that. Something about getting rid of people at companies. String News 1. Could it be that Proctor was never with an E, was never Proctor with an O, and Gamble never was a gambler? No, it must be something weird. Liquid Flame says, what's the purpose for making such insignificant changes? Why is this happening? What's the changer's goal? Why not change bigger things? I think that's a really good question.
Well, I think bigger things have changed. I think that, like for me, the aircraft are different. I know for you, that's not land masses. Bible changes are obviously huge to a lot of people. Hit a lot of people very personally. So I think that there are a lot of big changes. Just most often people see the smaller ones, and that's what always gets put to the forefront. Usually, the fact that my neighborhood changed is gigantic. Of course, that's not going to resonate with other people, but another historical one I didn't get to. So we talked about Germany and Black Tom, the thing in New York. Now there's another event called, Torpedo Alley, where 5,000 Americans were killed off the coast of North Carolina in the 1940s by 8 German submarines that sunk 500 merchant marine ships for America. 5,000 people died. And again, this is something that nobody's ever heard of when I brought it up, including people that live here in North Carolina and people that look into those types of things. Nothing. No, nobody I've ever asked has ever heard about this. 5,000 Americans dead. How's that not brought up on 9/11 or in any other conversation? 5,000.
No.
Yeah. Somebody wrote Lowell is a hole. Yeah, Lowell is it's not I'm not claiming my hometown as anything great. It's kind of just a rundown city.
All right. So I got some confirmation from Dr. Nimrod. Have you tried quiet firing Red Diesel's Rock of Ages? So Rock of Ages is a song by Def Leppard. I'm still having a hard time with this.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's
Red
going
Diesel is diesel fuel that's tinted red for off-road vehicles.
Is he asking if I'm like, am I sniffing gasoline to get high? Is that what he's saying?
I don't know. Well,
I'm not drunk. I've seen people ask if I was drunk. I have a Pepsi, and it's not a fake Pepsi like your fake tab. Okay, it's a real Pepsi.
What? Fake tab? Are you saying that this is not actually tab?
Huh? Wild rumor going around.
Are you saying that the can of tab that I moved from this side to this side isn't the one that I just opened?
That's right. The only person I know that drinks tab is my mother.
This can is on many shows and it's never opened. You want to see what I actually opened? This.
Yeah.
This is the sound.
If you were really drinking tab, this is what would happen.
Exactly. It tastes terrible.
It's awful, dude.
Yeah. So I moved this one. I mean, people know. I moved this one across the screen. I opened this one. Then I drink from this one. And then the contents of this goes into my 1933 Mason jar. And I call it Toonshine, but it's just pop. So there you go.
So you're shilling for the Masons and I'm shilling for Pepsi. Is that what we're doing?
I don't know. This was this is a blue Mason jar. They made them only from 1923 to 1933. Unless the Mandela effect somehow changed that too. But I love this because 33 UC, the guy that you talked about, that he's insane. He's absolutely insane. And he would always say that somehow he thinks that I'm a Freemason because I drink from this. And actually we used to use like old spaghetti jars. And then he'd say they're Mason jars. I'm like, oh, I'll just go get a Mason jar then. So I got a real Mason jar. So there we go. And this is from 1933. He loves that number 33.
Yeah, and some of my friends are telling me to stop drinking this shit because it's poison. It's not good for you. Definitely I have a sugar issue, and sugar has not been good to me. And I put a cup like this, I put 5 sugars in it, coffee cup.
What? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, finish the next line. 77 years ago, our
forefathers.
Mandela affected again.
Dang it.
Forefathers is gone from the Gettysburg Address, and now it just says our fathers. So where'd you get forefathers from?
Probably cartoons and stuff. TV shows. People misquoting it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. 3 News One says, did Mandela change the name of Angie's List? I don't know about that.
I don't know anything about that. There are a lot of businesses with their names have changed, you know, but that is not one I recognize. Not never mind resonate with. I've never heard anybody mention that, so I don't know if they're serious or not.
Okay. Yes. I don't know what that's about. Gridhog, you already addressed this. Said his claim is unfalsifiable, so he won't reconsider. We don't need to readdress that. Matto 311 says construction yield signs are yellow.
Well, I remember the regular yield signs. I don't know what the construction yield signs particularly look like, and I don't know if those are the same in every state. I mean, they might be different. Different sites, different states might have different construction signs. So
They're red.
Yeah. There goes that argument.
All right. Hold on a second. There's a diamond shape that says yield ahead that's yellow.
Yeah.
And here's a third.
But we all remember the upside down
the triangle. Yeah. The triangle in my memory is yellow, and so there's some of these, but like here's a create a mural, which is just somebody doing an artistic version of it. Shutterstock has a bunch of yellow ones, which is from artists.
But why did they do it like that?
Because that's their memory of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they should be. That's why. All right. Leslie Rower says no.
How much?
All right,
how much? You guys, you get a lot of support from your community. How much do you
I
get
do
Super
these.
Chats?
They're being insanely generous tonight, so thank you very much, everybody.
And I didn't stream this. I brought people over or whatever. I didn't do that double stream that sometimes you guys do. And
yeah,
I'm gonna mirror this tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. You go right ahead. I had I did a book review of a book by what's his name, Australian goofball flat earther, who wrote a book that nobody cared about. Kind of felt bad.
Are you talking about Billy?
Billy Zig. And I did a video review of his book, and he mirrored it like last week in entirety without any modifications, and without telling me, which I'm not going to, I don't care. Right. But I'm like, and I commented, I said, Billy, just ask. I would have said yes. Keep it up. I don't care. But I don't know why he did it. It wasn't a positive review. I don't, what the heck? I don't know. Anyway, he had sent me an email. So then he's like, I'm watching your review of my book. And then later somebody messaged me and said, yeah, Billy Zig mirrored your review without modification. So whatever.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I just thought it was funny.
I like Billy. Billy's a cool guy. I know you guys are on the opposite side of the fence with him, but I like Billy. I don't know that 33 guy though, and honestly, that guy sounds like an idiot when I listen to him talk. So I just got to be honest. There's idiots in walks of life, and that guy, Ollie, just
he has got his head shoved so far up Russian Vids' rump that his own head has popped out the top, and now Russian Vids has two heads, his own and 33 UC's head. Gridhog says, I get really frustrated when people insist that their faulty memory is accurate. This guy insists that everybody's faulty memories are accurate.
I insist that something's happening because we have so many of the same quote unquote faulty memories, mismemories, and then again, evidence that points towards it as well, that shouldn't be here.
Let's see. All right. PhD Tony again comes in with a hard one. He says, you think explaining the extreme lengths you go to preserve the illusion you drink tab will make your guest less susceptible to conspiracy theories? No, I don't. So, all right, Tony, here's why. Because
okay,
good. Brian and I had been talking for a couple of weeks about having this. We set it up. And he said that his mom drinks tab. And he's like, I can't believe you drink tab. The only other person in the world I know that drinks tab is my mom. Which obviously you don't know about Shakes the Clown. But anyway, so that started, and I explained to him that yes, it's all just a farce. I don't actually drink tab. So who's Shakes the Clown and tab?
Is that somebody that comes on your debates? Shakes the Clown?
Shakes the Clown is the name of a movie from probably the 80s with a comedian that would drink tab, like bunches of them during his stand-up shows.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got it. Matthew Fours got the first name. It's Bobcat Goldthwait.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He would drink tabs. He had it like up on stage. He'd just pound them. It tastes terrible. Tab is just gross. Deuce X Tomato says, drink tomato juice instead. Healthier and yummier.
The only soda worse than tab is Moxie. You ever have Moxie?
I've not.
Oh, it is awful. And my grandparents had that. It tastes like medicine, dude. It's gross. Comes in an orange can. It might have been local to New England. I don't know. I used
to mow lawn for an old lady in a wealthy neighborhood, and she had in her garage stacks of chocolate soda. I tried one. Gross. She's like, you can have one. It was terrible. Terrible. Chocolate soda. And there is a song where the singer references diet chocolate soda. Who can get that first in the chat? The name of that song.
Diet soda is really bad.
Diet chocolate soda. All right. NA says, I live in Boston, and I've noticed a lot of people here tend to change how a word is spelled / pronounce or change the name of objects.
Like what? Let's get an example. What did they change in Boston?
I don't know. NA tag me and give me a name. Let's see. Nobody's gotten the song reference yet. Nobody. I'm watching. I'm waiting for somebody to get the diet chocolate soda reference. Oh man, is that too out there? It's not Tenacious D. Yeah. So tab was discontinued, by the way. So does your mom still drink it?
She actually told me, like in a panic, a couple of years ago that they were stopping to sell it. She knew one place that still had it, and and I don't know how much she stockpiled and if she's still able to get any at all. But you know what? I'll ask her tomorrow. You have no idea, dude. Like we, on my porch outside my house, like, because you used to return the bottles, and you get like 5 cents a bottle at the recycle, whatever. And we would have just big bags of tab cans, dude, before we would bring them. There was just trash bags full of tab cans.
All right, somebody finally got it. It was Gareth Bunting, Weird Al. What do I win? You win fame forever, Gareth. It's from Weird Al, the movie Albuquerque, where he talks about they had to stop for more diet chocolate soda on the way. And in the song, my favorite line, the scenery was so lovely. Gosh, gee, I wish the kids could have seen it, but the windows are completely covered by all the decals from all the places where we've already been, like Elvis-orama, the Tupperware Museum, the Boll Weevil Monument in Cranberry World, the Shuffleboard Hall of Fame, Poodle Log Rock, and the Mecca of albino squirrels. We've been to Ghost Towns, theme parks, wax museums, and the place where you can drive through the middle of the tree. We've seen alligator farms and tarantula ranches, but there's still one thing we got to see. That's as close as you'll get to rap. So that would be the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. Sorry, it's not Albuquerque. Sorry.
Well, you made the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota. Channel. You made a YouTube channel. Why did you call it MC Toon? I mean, that's what I've used. Like it was my joke rap name in college. Okay.
My friend and I would do joke raps. And I did the beatbox. It was terrible. It was a joke. We had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle plastic bowls on strings around our neck. Like Flava Flav has the big clock. We had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle plastic bowls. as necklaces.
Who has the clock?
Flava Flav.
Yeah, check his name out. His name's not Flava Flav anymore.
Somebody mentioned it already.
Flavor, properly, not Flava anymore.
But how did he say it? I don't know. I never listened.
He never really said his own name. He just said, "Yeah, boy."
It was his one thing.
With that ridiculous clock. It's so ridiculous. I used to like it though.
Yanush said, and I was wrong. As a Raphael was an angel, David Tennant plays Crowley the demon. I blame this on the Mandalorian effect. What are you Googling it?
No, I typed Flava Flav the way it's spelled in the chat.
There, okay. Some old dude says, you got forefathers because the next line says, brought forth upon this continent. Not surprising memory error.
So the next line says, the next line says, brought forth upon this continent, and that made us mistake and say the word forefathers.
Forefathers instead of
that
fathers.
sounds really like a real stretch, dude. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Dude, I said forefathers. I did.
Instantly. It's like a lion.
Tim Collins says, WTF, MC Toon with an E on the end is now MC Toon without an E on the end. JK Brian, we love you on.
I'm having fun. I don't care. You know, I appreciate the mixed crowd. Not everybody's, you know.
Oh, Stringer News 1. Who remembers the Great Kazoo from the Flintstones? Is that one?
Yeah. Some people have claimed that it Gazoo versus Kazoo, but it's not anything I'm sure of, and it's too close for me to.
Okay.
But I recognize where they're going with it, but I'm not taking.
There is no. So when I was looking for the thumbnail for this, there was a Flintstones Mandela effect something. I didn't look at it, but there was like two versions of it. What is that?
Well, some people have talked about it being Flynn stones. Not Flint stones, but of course the argument instantly would be, well, Flint is a rock, Flint stone.
Yeah.
So I don't really resonate with that one too much either. But some people talk about that as a change, but that's not one I'm going with.
That's certainly a harder one because Flint is a stone.
Yeah.
So Leslie Rohrer has a $1 super chat, but there's no message for those. Thank you, Leslie. And then Minnie Karen says it was MC out of the room before the Mandela effect. Out of tune. Sorry. Wow. I read that wrong. It was MC out of tune.
Before the Mandela effect, so now you're in tune? I don't know, man. I think it might be the other way around.
Nope. Never was. That's the thing. Yep. Barry F says, it would have been better with forefathers anyway. Hey, maybe we're just editorializing.
And we all just and when I say we all, it's because I've asked many people this, I already know. And you guys can all try this. So we all just editorialize in our minds and put this weird word forefathers in there. I mean, come on. It's like the golden rule, you know, the golden rule in Bible, you know what the golden rule is?
It's not in the Bible, I know that, but do unto others as you would have them do to yourself.
Okay, well, actually, it was in the Bible, and I'm not saying it was, and it isn't now, and that would be like what you're saying. It's not in there. It's actually a verse in there where it said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." The verse is still there, but the word "unto" just says "to." Do to others as you would have them do to you, not "unto."
I suppose that could go into nuances of translations, and then people could start hunting for the translation that has the version they want, right?
Well, there is no version that says "do unto others" in any Bible. That's what I'm saying.
Well, anybody can make their own translation anytime they want, Brian.
Well, I'm saying in the Bibles that are out in circulation right now. Hey, you know the Rolling Stones, right? You were talking about rock and roll earlier.
Yeah.
The song "Painted Black." I'm sure you're familiar with it.
No.
Well, it doesn't say "Painted Black" anywhere.
They're not heavy metal.
So how heavy of shit were you into? Like what were the bands that you were?
Yeah, hair metal and up for heaviness.
Okay.
So
I don't know too much of it. I get more into like after the Bon Jovi phase, I kind of got into the hip hop phase Wasn't too, and the alternative rock that you hate. I like that too, like the '90s, early
I
'90s.
no, I don't. No, I don't mind alternative rock. I don't like grunge.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the grunge. Like Nirvana is okay, but like Pearl Jam, ugh, gross. I can't take Pearl Jam. So now it's going through my head. Mm.
You know the
So
song. Do you know Jewel? Who will save your soul?
no.
I'm sure some people in the chat will. If you go listen to the song now, it says "Who will save your souls" throughout almost the entire song. Souls instead of soul. And I know that just sounds like an S, but it's really a big difference. And when you hear her sing it and she holds that S where it used to be, who will save your soul? Now it's, who will save your souls? And that's on the hard copy if you own the album. The title's still the same, but the chorus is different.
Mm.
You don't know the song, so it's not going to do you.
Yeah, I don't. The question is, who did Mechanics better?
Mechanics?
Megadeth or Metallica?
Oh, I don't know.
So when Dave Mustaine was in Metallica, he wrote a song and Metallica recorded it, and then he did, when he was in Megadeth, same song, he called it Mechanics. Was Metallica's name Mechanics as well? I don't remember, but everybody's getting the right answer. Megadeth is the right answer, of course. Yeah, and Metallica did not use the title. So, Real Cygnus says Slayer was the best at being the worst. Four Horsemen, that must be it. Yeah. Anyway. All right, let me see here.
California Dreamin' by the Mamas and Papas is a verse where it talks about, I pulled up to the church and I got down on my knees and I began to pray. Well, now that says I got down on my knees and I pretended to pray. So maybe some people know that one.
Pretended? Interesting.
Pretend to pray. Yep. And there's many major artists that have covered that, not just people doing cover songs on YouTube, like major artists of the time. And all the cover songs of it say the way that I remember it to be, I get down on my knees and I began to pray. But the official one now says, pretend to pray. Yeah.
Ashton Richards says, do I listen to Death? Like the band Death? No.
That's the name. That's really the name of a band, just Death.
Yeah, I think it's all right. So death metal is a type of metal. I do enjoy death metal, and to my knowledge, there's a band called Death that is death metal, and no, I don't listen to them. If you want to, well, some of my favorite would be Scrolls of the Megaloth by Mortification, one of my favorite death metal albums. All right, let's see. Some old dude says there is no actual authentic copy of the Gettysburg Address. Even Lincoln wrote different versions of it down over time. I think we should go to the live streamed video on YouTube.
The live streamed video of the Gettysburg Address, yeah.
The Sun Express says Hyannisport has been written as both one word and Hyannis spaceport. Even Google Maps lists both. Ditto road signs, nothing Mandela effect about it.
I haven't seen a actual map with it spelled with just one word on it anymore. If it's always been either or, we should see that. I know she said Google says it, but I'd like to see the map with it printed on there. And I don't mean you have to show me the physical map. You can show me the map online with it, printed on there. Hey, you ever heard the Lord's Prayer? You familiar with that?
Yeah.
Do you know it off the top of your head? And if not, I'll just tell you where. That's fine.
Yeah. Is there a part that I should start at?
You could start at Our Father.
Our Father who art in heaven. Right. This is the King James version. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our. And then there's sins, trespasses, or
debts.
Debts. As we forgive our sins, trespassers, and debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory
That's good.
forever, ever. Amen.
So now, what's interesting is a few things that are interesting here. Why did you? Now, I'm glad you asked me. Is this the King James? And then you rolled with it because why? Because you're really familiar with the Lord's Prayer in the King James.
Yeah, like I never, I didn't prefer. I mean, this is NIV.
Do you have a KJV though?
I have, yeah, I have a few. I don't have one in the room here.
So what I'm going to tell you is you're wrong. By the way, you're all messed up on that because that's a huge Mandela effect. The Lord's Prayer. Okay, so there's a few things here. Let's start with the trespasses, sins, and debtors that you brought up at the end, which was interesting how you went there. Okay, because the versions with trespasses, forgive us trespasses and those who trespass against us, you won't find that in any Bible, anywhere in the world, universal. I challenge you.
Wow.
Okay, that's gone.
Oh.
KJV, NIV, and then on top, you'll find it in prayer books and other things. And people say, "Oh, that's where you got it from." No, it was in the Lord's Prayer in the Bible. But the other part that's interesting. Now, remember we talked earlier, universal changes or just KJV specifics. There's two KJV specific changes in the Lord's Prayer, and you said both of them the way that they used to be that aren't in your Bible.
Okay.
Our Father who art in heaven is not in your King James. It now says, Our Father, which art in heaven.
Oh.
And the part where you said on earth as it is in heaven, it now says in earth. In your own Bible. So you cannot check it now, but if you check it later, you will see that I am correct.
Yeah. And so my memory of it, here's to my defense, I'll say this. My memory of it is not from reading it. My memory of it is only from hearing it because I would never have used the King James version in anything I've read. I would only have read it in NIV. So that's weird though that my memory of it, like I couldn't put the words together of the NIV version. I could only do the King James, and is it from TV? Is it from? I don't know because I don't know that I would have ever. I'm not Catholic, right? Catholic, they say it all the time, right? You go to confession and they're like, give me 7 billion Our Fathers and all of your sins are now magically forgiven.
Yeah. So check it out. So that's interesting, and I'm glad you're recognizing that's interesting. But here's the bigger kick up. Besides those, because people are typing in the chat and super chat, and there's different translations and da 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 da. So I challenge anybody that says that to show me their translation of the Bible that the Lord's Prayer still says trespass and trespasses. They won't be able to find it.
And somebody mentioned transgressors.
I've heard that before. I don't know what version that's in. So that sins, debtors, there's many different. Trespasses is gone from all of them, but some are debtors, many are debtors. Some's a sin and sinners. I've heard the transgressions one, all in places of where trespass and trespasses was. Now that Lord's Prayer in other versions, like maybe your NIV, will probably still say who art in heaven and on earth, but the KJV, which art in heaven and in earth. Shout out to all your concave buddies in Earth.
Oh,
I'm just making a joke.
Oh my gosh, those concavers. They're funny.
So that's something we can agree on. The concavers are very way out there.
And when flat Earth isn't wacky enough, go concave. All right, so now. All right, hold on. I got a couple things here. We got the Sun Express says Google Images Hyannisport roadmap. So I'm gonna pull it up. I haven't checked it yet. We're gonna check it on the fly here.
I saw somebody in chat, right? This guy was good friends with Mac Parhar. Yes, I was. Mac was a friend of mine. So I will absolutely say.
I met him in 2019 in person at the convention. We had a good chat. He was definitely into Mandela effect stuff.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I was, it took me for a second when he passed. Let's see here.
So what you're showing on the screen is not what I've heard. It says Hyannis on the map, not Hyannisport in one word, and it says Hyannisport in two words underneath.
All right. So
And by the way, that Centerville on the left is not the place I was talking about. That's a town in Massachusetts. You see right there. My neighborhood is in Lowell. Centerville is a neighborhood in Lowell. Just before people ask.
all right. So what is this saying here? There's a space there on the larger one.
Mm-hmm.
So a 1910 old street map. Town of Barnes. There it is. Okay. So this has no space. And I don't remember which one was the one that is interesting.
Yeah, nice. That's interesting. But the part that is to note about this is part of the town of Barnstable, and Hyannisport is its own thing now. So I'm thinking that what we're looking at here is before it's separated from Barnstable. Now I know that might sound like an excuse to people, but I'll definitely look more into this. And if you could send me that link after, so I could look into.
It was a Google Hyannisport roadmap, Google Images. So I'll send you that.
Cool. And I have no problem if a mistake's ever made. I have no problem, admitting it or whatever.
All right, and then let's see. Stringer News 1 says sent this BibleGateway.com.
Because the way I see somebody in the chat typing, yeah, that's an excuse. Well, it says town of Barnstable there, not the town of Hyannisport. It says town of Barnstable, Hyannisport, as in like it's still part of Barnstable. So that's where it might be different.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Thank you, Stringer News 1. So here is, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. This is the new Matthew Bible, which I'm not familiar with.
I've never heard of this one.
So there you go.
Okay. Never heard of that one.
There it is. I'll send you this as well. I mean, I know nothing about that. That translation. So
yeah, and I'm assuming most people don't, but I will definitely not say that is not in any Bible. If it's in the new Matthew, I'll have to look into that.
All right.
But I would still say all the people that remember don't know it from the new Matthew Bible, which is interesting too. So
yeah. Where did it come from? We don't know. So all right. Well, let me wrap this up, and then I think we can move along. Let me jump to here. So all right. Well, anyway, yeah. Look at the Hyannisport. I sent you that. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything to me because it's not something familiar to me. Great Hog says easy mistakes get made by many people, no mystery. Let's not get hung up on that. Judy, you got this, says I have many translations, some of them quite old. They keep getting tweaked. Talking about translations of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The Sun Express, the Hyannisport Roadmap, and then Leslie Rohrer says, please ask my question. All right, hold on. What's the... I'm going to see if there's... All right. The how does James Brolin's wife spell her name? We already got that. I don't know if there's another one or... Oh, wait, hold on. You messaged me? Nope. All right.
Somebody wrote Marlboro versus Marlboro in the Middlesex County. Those aren't Mandela effects. Those are just different spellings of town names. They add OU at the end of a lot of them. There's several of them in Massachusetts. There's two ways to spell a lot of towns, and I do recognize that.
Matthew 4 seems to have quoted, maybe is this a copy paste from something? It says Hyannis Spaceport or Hyannisport with no space is a small residential village located in Barnstable, Massachusetts, United States. It is an affluent summer community on Hyannis Harbor. Leslie, if you want, you can message me on Facebook and I'll ask it. I missed it. So, all right. The OG Kenji says he lived in Boston. Her first name. Oh, how do you spell her first name. Ms. Streisand's first name. Are you looking it up? You can't Google it.
Oh, I'm not doing anything.
Oh.
I thought you were talking to the audience. Yeah,
How
I
do
know
you
her name is
spell-
like, I know about this. Her name looks like it should have another A in there, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
that
I'm not sure if that's anything, but yeah.
that page on Wikipedia is all plastic, and it's still not good. She's 80. Wow. She's all right. Anyway, it's BARBRA.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
What about the famous pastor from New Orleans that didn't let the people in during the flood, and there was a lot of controversy? You know who he is? Televangelist.
Oh,
His first name begins with a J. Joel.
Oh my gosh, I'm not remembering. Osteen.
Osteen.
Somebody in the chat gave it to me. Joel Osteen.
Yeah. I remember Joel Olstein, not Joel Osteen.
Oh, with an L. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Obviously, I didn't come up with it very quickly, so I don't remember an L, but
yeah. It's cool.
All right.
It's cool, man. I appreciate you playing along tonight, man. And even though you're not really into it, I appreciate your honesty too, because there were many times you could have just, answered the new way and not told me that you had already become aware of what was going on with that one. But that's cool, man. And I know there were some people that were triggered, like, why are you gonna go on McToon's channel? Why wouldn't I? I mean, we got, like,
really, people were giving you crap.
Yeah, a few people, not too many. But
Tell
like,
him,
I'm always
tell him I'm the nicest Glober.
You are pretty nice for a Glober.
For a Glober.
Globee would be the proper term.
Tell Karen Beast, tell her I don't know why she was so upset, but like I can't communicate with her. So whatever it is, I'm sorry that she's so mad at me. I really was taken aback when she was so upset at me. So whatever.
What I did?
I don't want to
Dave
bad.
Bell. I had a birthday party for Dave Manal, Trinity 4, and I had people send in video submissions. If you want to send in a video submission apology to Karen, I mean, I'll play it for her.
Well, I don't know what to apologize
I'm teasing you,
for.
bro. I'm teasing.
Okay. Whatever it is, I don't know. Because I think you were in that live chat when I called in.
Oh, probably.
That's why I brought it up, because if we scroll back in our communication, I think hold on. I think what I did is I saw that you were in the live chat of that one, and I sent you a screenshot of something from that live chat.
So let me just say this, you might have, but like I try and like dodge any type of drama. Like you could imagine when it comes to any of this stuff, especially in like the last year, so many people have been like, and I'm just like, I just want to do my thing and I don't want to know anything from anybody. Leave me alone. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I try to avoid, I don't like drama.
No.
It's
people yelling at each other on YouTube, and it gets.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna get it right now. Rolling back. Maybe I will. Yes. All right. Hold on. You start watching here. All right. Well, never mind. Anyway, Brian, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
it's been good. I think it's been interesting. I'm not buying the effect there, but I think it's an interesting thing. I think it's you've definitely identified a bunch of things that I completely lined up with, and a few things I did not. Peter G says Book of Common Prayer that Angelicans have used trespasses starting in 1526. And the spelling was trespasses.
Definitely Book of Prayers have them. Catholic Book of Prayers have it too. I recognize that. You mind if am I screen sharing?
Yeah, hold on. Let me make it bigger for people.
Sure. I just want to show people what my content is before I go.
There you go.
All right, so this is my channel, guys. All my links are here if you want to find, other platforms, social media, and all that. You just click this. But on my main channel, all my videos end up here. Dose of Reality Show, no matter what they're about. Usually the newest stuff is at the top. I have over 1,300 videos here. Here's my Mandela Effect shortlist. This is what I wanted to show you. If you click here, many of the changes we talked about tonight, there's a single video for each one where I break it down. I show the residue. I give you my take. So that's like my 120 top Mandela effects stuff I vouch for.
120?
Yeah. But we're coming up with a list. We're working on a printed list that has more than that, but I have 120 videos on that. And Bible changes. And I also have down here is the stuff to do with my neighborhood that I spoke about. There's other Mandela Effect interviews on a playlist, and I have a series called My Awakening where I just interview people on all the on their journey from the start up until now, various topics, and and we might not agree on all the same topics or whatever, guys, but I'd love to see some of you guys come by, and if you want, call in sometime and we could talk about your experiences. I always open the phone, so appreciate it, and thank you for having me on. And anybody that listens back, it's Brian S. Staveley on every platform.
And Staveley is spelled with 2 E's.
2 E's, and no controversy there. I've been many times accused that my name only had 1 E in it, and now it has 2, but that doesn't resonate with me.
Mute Donkey says that the list had more, but it changed. There used to be 350 Mandela effects. Now there's only 200. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully the outro video works. I've had trouble with it lately. So people, thank you very much for coming along. Thank you to everybody that super chatted. We'll see you next time. I do have 2 debates lined up for next week already. So, all right. Cool. That's it. We'll see you later, everybody.
All right, man. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And the outro video worked. All right, people, thanks a lot.